old man, he was so poor, didn't hold no bed, so he slept on the floor. He's always smiling, never heard him complain. He said that proving God again and again. So no matter what the circumstances may be, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the sunshine or through the rain, through the pleasure or through the pain, God is always there for me. No matter what the circumstances may be, yeah, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the good times or through the bad, through the happy times or through the sad, God is always there for me. The landlord weighs the rent, school fee due, partner drop bones, and the youth them need you. Friends all ask me what I'm gonna do. I smile and tell them that God will see me through. No matter what the circumstances may be, yeah, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the sunshine or through the rain, through the pleasure or through the pain, God is always there for me. So no matter what the circumstances may be, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the good times or through the bad, through the happy times or through the sad, God is always there for me. I met this old man, he was so poor, he didn't hold no bed, so he slept on the floor. He's always smiling, I never heard him complain. He said I'm proving God again and again. So no matter what the circumstances may be, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the sunshine or through the rain, through the pleasure or through the pain, God is always there for me. No matter what the circumstances may be, no, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the good times or through the bad, through the happy times or through the
Tools, hardware, supplies is holding up the heat.
There's not a broken vessel that God can't make. The thief was down to his last breath, hanging there and can't wait. When he turned to the master and said, Lord of mercy on me, he was just a broken vessel. Then Jesus washed away his sins, 'cause there's not a broken vessel that God can make. Oh, there's not a broken vessel God can't make. Yeah. When the whole world turns its back on you, Jesus will be your friend. He will pick up all the pieces, time and time again. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel that God can't make. Lord of my turn, Jesus is the potter, and we are just the clay. And even when the vessel is broken, He won't throw the clay away. Bring Him all of your burdens, your troubles, and your sin. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel Almighty God can make. Yeah. There's not a broken vessel that God can make. Yeah. When the whole world turns its back on you, Jesus will always be your friend. He will pick up all the pieces, time and time again. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel that God can't make. Yeah. There's not a broken vessel that God can't make. Yeah. When the whole world turns its back on you, Jesus will always be your friend. He will pick up all the pieces, time and time again. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel God can.
Good afternoon to all my listeners and viewers. Welcome to Rebel Radio. Today is Monday, and very sad day in Jamaica. Yes, you know, we at Rebel Radio, we have been talking about police killings, and we insist that the police should wear body cams. The security minister is not in agreement with that. We are not the only ones who are insisting that that should happen. Well, yesterday was a shooting in Montego Bay in Granville, where a woman was killed. And based on what I saw on a video, I don't know why the police have to kill that woman. But a culture has developed into the police force. Last year they killed 311 suspects. So far over 100 this year. And every week there's a killing. There's a shootout. Police says a shootout. Well, there was no shootout yesterday. We observed that the constable involved has been interdicted. But it just goes to show how trigger happy the police are. And something must be done to rein in those trigger happy members of the police force who are killing people. We have said already on this program, if you take up arms against the security forces, you will pay for it. We are not supporting that. But yesterday's killing, no, is totally unacceptable. I have with me today Dave Hallen, yes, of the Granville Peace, Justice and Resource Development Foundation. Good afternoon, Dave. How are you?
Good afternoon, Desmond. I am okay under these circumstances.
Yes. Well, it is clear that shooting yesterday was unnecessary. This was an unarmed woman. The police are claiming that she was in the process of driving a vehicle at them after she was told to stop. What I saw in a video, I don't think that shooting was necessary at all. What is the situation down there now?
All the people arrested in the community. There was some action early on today in the Pittsburgh area. I was told I was not there. But truth be told, if there was not a camera around, we would not be having this conversation.
Yes.
We would have been told that Bulgin engaged the police and the police took evasive action and neutralized her. That is the sort of argument you would have heard. And it leads me to the point that we cannot take the shooting in isolation to the other 4 killings, police killing in Granville.
Since it's
this year,
yes.
Starting with the New Year's Eve massacre, to which 3 persons were killed, including a 4-year-old child who was shot and killed in her bed. Followed up by Mother's Day shooting of another 17-year-old, which it was alleged that he had his hands in the hair, and yet he was shot at point blank range. So, we have a series of killing in Granville, but let us look on the context, because context in this case matter. Granville was seen as the epicenter for a lot of scam, and with it we had several cases of internecine conflicts. We had at one point 40 deaths in the Granville Police Division. Last year we had 1 which was not gang related. The police, by their own admission, that there is a marked reduction of crime, violent crime in Granville. There is a 74.6% reduction. We do not have a police station in Granville that was burnt down for the past 5 years ago. We have seen no serious action taken by the police in the community that could be linked to the reduction of crime and violence. We as community, we have had crime prevention summit, we have had peace march, we have prayer walk, a communal service, we have had restorative justice practices, we have had dispute resolution, and we have seen ex-violent producers overseas are telling the boys to be quiet. We have many of our crime producers have gone through the southern border to the United States.
Yes.
I'd like to ask the police, what have they done in Granville that could be attributed to their crime suppression that have caused the reduction of violence in the community? So, and we cannot depend on Indicom for justice. I do not, if they do not have the requisite staff But 5 months have passed and we have not heard anything about the 4-year-old that was killed in terms of investigation. Our organization is seek to have a coronary inquiry for the 5 murders that have been committed in Granville. We believe that this is a turning point in Jamaica for the whole business of policing, because it is clear that had it not been for the camera and the Chinaman shop, we would not have the sort of outrage that we have seen in the country. So, that is where we are today.
Yes. The police are claiming that the deceased was driving and was told to stop, and she proceeded to drive in their direction.
We have seen it. It cannot be. I mean, the police are trained to de-escalate. I would like to know the proportionality of a person trying to escape police. Does that merit you shooting that person? Was his life threatened? The car turned to the right away from the police officer. He did not move it, not even 3 feet. And he had time to go to his house and pull out his gun and shoot the woman straight in her stomach, and then drag the body like a dead dog and throw it into the van. My concern is, why was this officer so emboldened in broad daylight to shoot a woman? What emboldened him to do so?
Well, Dave, what you should know, and you know this, organizations and people, for decades now, the police and the citizens have different versions whenever there's a shootout. The police says that they were attacked. For decades now, people say, no, that's not how it went. All right. Now, the police have body cams, but the security minister is not in favor of them wearing the body cams.
He's not in favor of them wearing body cams, and I put it to you that he's an accomplice to the murder of that woman.
Well, I am...
And those other persons. He's complicit.
I am inclined...
It is the behavior of the Minister of National Security, and he must take responsibility that emboldened the police to act in the manner that he acted.
I am in agreement with you. The way all the police are behaving now is that they have the backative of the Minister of National Security.
Well, let me just pull up. We know that the high level of crime in Jamaica impact negatively on the economy. And some of us would sacrifice justice for security because of their own security. But we in Granville here have now just experienced a certain level of window of peace that we have not enjoyed since 2005. And this peace was shattered, not by some careless criminal gunman, but by the security forces. We have not had one case of gun shooting. I don't know about that. Pull black back. I don't know about gun shooting, but we have not had any case of murder in Granville. The only killing that we have had in Granville was carried out by the police. Here we are seeking to pivot towards investment and development, to reposition Granville now for development, and they undermine and continue to demonize Granville as a hot spot and all the other description that would cause our young people to want to move out of the community. At a time when people are just moving back into the area and are now rebuilding the community, the police have contributed towards the undermining of our own effort of positioning Granville as a part of the greater Montego Bay redevelopment.
Yes. I understand that the people, and there are some roadblocks in the community today in protest over that killing. I understand that there has been.
Yes, yeah, but you know, the citizenry are intimidated by the police, you know.
Yes.
You know that for you to have a dance, you need police permission. Mm-hmm. For you to have a dead yard, you need police permission. So what we are seeing is increased power being given to the police that undermine community. As a non-government organization, we look to the state agencies from time to time for funding support.
Yes.
What is peace doing with what is the whole business of peace doing with with security, Minister of Security and Peace? So those are some of the intimidating things, you know. So when people want to take decisive action to protect human rights, they are tempered by the power of the police over us. And the fact that the ministry and the minister himself has stated clearly that he has very little confidence in social intervention. And he has commandeered the resources that are there for social intervention to put it to launder the image of the police instead of seriously addressing the issue of youth disengagement, where we should be having summer camps and training for young people. Those resources are now being used to launder the image.
Remind me, Granville was declared an SOE early when the government launched that program, don't it? Am I right?
No, we were part of the whole state of emergency effort. No, but you know, nearby Mount Salem, they have a zoo over there, and they're still having curfew. In the minister's own constituency, Northwest Norwood, they still have a zoo over there. We don't have a zoo in Granville. We do not have cordon or any curfew in Granville. We do not need that right now. Because there is no gang warfare going on in Granville now. Dancehall is no nice because Pitford Hillside is no partying with people at garage. So that sort of gang warfare that existed in Granville, we have not seen any visible signs of scamming going on at this time. So there is no necessity for the police to behave in the way they do. And I want to make it clear that we have some decent, principled, I do not know about principle, because if you sit down and watch your colleague going out there and carrying out unlawful acts, you become accomplice to their action. I've written some time ago, so I think it was 2010, about the death squad in the police force. And the behavior of these police, some of these police, it would appear as if there's a death squad, because it is unacceptable. And you know something? I am so concerned about this selective rage of the church. When it comes on to sex and things like that, they are out there demonstrating, but they do not have respect or sanctity for the sanctity of life. I don't hear the church coming out in condemnation of these extrajudicial killings. I do not hear civil society speaking out sufficiently. I do not hear from the Chamber of Commerce. There was a time when they say, let them kill off one another. Now they are sending the police to kill me off.
Yes. It is, as I said at the start, it is unacceptable. Dave, that woman died leaving how many children?
She had 2 boys.
They are young children.
I think they are about 19 also. I know their great-grandmother, their grandmother, and the grandmother are from the butcher. I don't know the children that well.
Okay. Yes. Well, boy, and as you said that you don't have much faith in the investigations by Indicom.
No. We started out as an organization, the Granville Peace, Justice and Resource Development Foundation, from BSI until it transited to Indicom. We have submitted 7 cases of police shooting and we are not pleased with the outcomes. They themselves may be handicapped, that is their concern, but we do not have any faith or confidence in Indicom that we will get justice.
Yes.
The other thing is that the community is in fear. Many would not go out there and testify that. So we have to find other methods of doing so. Fortunately for us, this time there was a camera that captured everything that would have indicated what really took place. And this is why the police do not want to carry out operations with cameras.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm saying that the Minister of National Security and Peace is complicit to the number of murders that are taking place in this country.
Yes.
And he should go.
But the camera, you see, the camera would assist the police also.
The reason why the reason why we have this level of outrage in the society, the reason why you're speaking to me today about the killing of this woman is because there was a camera around.
Yes. And therefore, as you said, the police don't want to use the camera. The only reason why the police will not are afraid don't of using the camera is if their stories are not accurate, because the camera will capture the evidence and the evidence would set them free.
And you know what, you have media houses, I do not know, like social media, like what was on the spot, whatever, and some of us that sought to shape the narrative. You are now guilty before proven so. Because the moment you're out there, this nappies and clappies and all sort of other description of individuals who were suspect become criminal,
Yes.
who are guilty, and justify police action. This action would have been justified had it not been for the camera that captured what took place there. And this is why we are saying that the death of Buju cannot be taken in isolation to the other 5 cases that we want to take to the courts to have a judicial, not a judicial review, but a coroner inquest.
Okay. Yes. Well, Dave, we have to follow up. We will have to keep this one right on the front page, and we will have to keep on talking or keep on presenting our side of the story to the public. I want to thank you very much.
You know how many calls I've received from overseas, and one of the tragedy, apart from the fact that 50% of the Jamaican people, young people in particular, want to leave the country in 3 years based upon recent research, what I'm hearing from people that this is not a safe place to be. People who are now in fear and will want to leave Jamaica. We have to create a Jamaica where people want to live.
Yes. Okay. To be continued, Dave. I want to thank you very much this afternoon, and continue to keep me abreast of what is happening, and I will call you. We'll have to keep this one on the front page. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Yes. That was Dave Allen there of the Granville Peace, Justice and Resource Development, keeping us abreast of what is happening in Granville following the killing of that woman there, Latoya Bulgin. Yes, this is Rebel Radio. Let us take a break.
Everybody sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagley Park Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is holding up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio. And let's hear what the Shadow Minister of National Security had to say about that shooting in Granville. Let's listen to the opposition spokesman on security, Jackson.
The Granville community is dealing with an absolute tragedy, compounded by 2 fatal police shootings in just 1 week. While interdicting the officer is a necessary first step, we need a transparent, fast, and completely independent investigation by INDECOM. The residents of Granville and the wider Jamaica deserve the truth. We cannot keep losing citizens during interactions with the law enforcement officers who are paid to protect them and all of us Jamaicans. Regrettably, too many innocent and law-abiding citizens are becoming almost as fearful of the police as they are of criminals. This cannot be allowed to continue in our country. I urge the JCF leadership to immediately deploy community relations teams to Granville to de-escalate tensions and reassure residents who are rightfully on edge and is fearful of their lives. Even in the face of this intense grief and understandable anger, I am appealing to the residents of Granville to remain calm, as difficult as that might be, and allow the independent investigators to carry out their work. Justice must be pursued through the proper legal channels so that the integrity of the process is protected and the trust in the police force can be restored.
Okay. Well, there you have it. That was the opposition spokesman on security there, Jackson, making his call on the authorities to do something to protect the people. We are now going to turn our attention to transport. Yes. And over the weekend there was news circulated that there would have been some disruption in public transportation service today. Mr. Hedgerton Newman, I knew that of TODS called for some restraint in order to allow the minister to address the matter. I have with me Mr. Hedgerton Newman now online. Good afternoon, Mr. Newman.
Good afternoon, my brother and friend. How are you?
Well, I am supposed to be okay, sir. Well,
okay, the last time you checked.
Yeah. Well, I observed there was no disruption. So, what has happened?
Well, let's give thanks that there was no disruption today. All students went to school as per usual, and parents went to work. And so it was a free flow today because the minister has sought to abort the disruption by calling a meeting. I'm here to our request for a meeting, and I'm going to today at 10 o'clock. And all the things were put on the table, and we went away somewhat feeling a bit relieved that the minister has spoken. Alongside him was the Minister of Finance, and of course, other personnel, Transport Authority, JUTC, the police, everybody is there. And we accepted in good grace the continued notation of a date in June. As one concern we had, why calling for a shutdown of service today when the minister did tell us that we would seek to get an increase in June. And so we hold that promise, and we leave the meeting in good faith with that promise until June.
What date in June the increase will be granted?
That is what I did expect to get, a date, tied down to a date, but we did not get that. We were told June 1, but they announced they would make that time. Because you know, when it's going to be fair increase, they always said effective X time there will be a fair increase. But remember now, as he said, and the finance minister alluded, that the submission will go to cabinet in 2 weeks. Now, if you check the date, 2 weeks means June 1, roughly. And so we in good grace, there is no exact date in June. And we are hoping that it will be in June.
So you're sure that when June 1 comes, you won't have to tell your members to wait longer?
I know one thing I would say. If the end of June come out and get a fair increase, I know what I would say, and I would say no. But anything can happen. We have been waiting for this since October 2023, and we have been getting a number of promises. One it is promise and cut. When I say cut, what I mean. And here's a new minister now who is concurring that June is her date, and so we are looking forward to that. But if it doesn't happen, the transport minister will have to talk seriously on the subject. And will we take what he says? I don't think so.
But hold on, but you know something I don't understand is that when the operators of Dutsford Express, when they are ready, they increase their fares. And we don't hear any pushback from government.
Yes.
Now, can you explain to us, tell us, I remember that the fare increase was supposed to be 35%, but the government paid a part, 19%. Tell me something, what was the reason why the entire fare package was not granted at the same time? What was the reason given?
The reason was inflation, was reason given, and we buy into that. And so we were told that by the following year, 2024, we'll get the balance of 16%. and it's now 2026. But the main reason was inflation.
And 2024.
And you must understand too. Yes, you must understand that there are some companies that provide what you call it executive class service, and I think not for the express is one. And they, I think, under their regulation, they can make changes to their prices. But we are state rate for a price increase, a fair increase.
Why is it that the small operators are being asked to subsidize the public fare increase? Why? Have the minister said that
because people like you don't want to take over politics and go into government and to do the right thing. You leave it for other persons to do whatever they wish. But I wish some of us could pick the parliament here and deal with the issues at the heart. Because let me tell you something, the whole issue of the Office of Utility Regulation need to come back to the fore when it comes to public transportation. Because we would make a request to the minister would take it to OUR, and OUR would make a final decision and send it back to the transport sector, to the minister. Now they moved the OUR from the transport sector, and so the increase in fares or the request for fares is like a free-for-all. We don't know what we'll get it, when we'll get it, and who will give it to you. And that is what we are facing with right now.
I wonder if you, Mr. Newman, I wonder if you have been observing what has happened to public transportation in Jamaica since JRS was abolished. I wonder if you have been watching that.
You have more information on that more than I do, because some people who say on UK on the block, you have been doing before, and you know that JRS was here. It was to provide a service, but it closed down because of some hitch. I don't know the reason why it was closed down, and then it becomes a public transport free for our country, where private sector will take up the mantle and run with it, they're providing the service to the people. And of course, within a short while, we were kicked out like chickens. Our bus was bought and thrown at junkyard. And here we are now with JUTC going all over the country, although they only have a license to operate within the KMTR.
And they are losing money heavily. Right?
24 hours a day.
Yes. Right? And as you said, the small operators, most of whom have been paying increase at the pump for the last 10 weeks. For the last 10 weeks, prices going up at the pump.
For the last 10 weeks.
Yeah.
It can get worse. I think we're going to be pushing the price right now, and it will get worse.
I know that other costs have gone up too. Parts. Yes.
Everything around our operation is up to 60%. Yes.
And the government is saying that it will be next month. Today is the 17th. Next month before the fare increase will be granted. And the government won't tell you exactly the date in next month. They'll tell you the first or the last of June.
Not only that, I heard something worse than that, a suggestion by the minister, by the finance minister, that it could be, you could get it in parts. To me, that is saying we could get 8% now and 7% tomorrow or next year or next 5 years. And I really put that down on the floor because that can't work.
That's
because you have to understand what is happening at the pumps. What we should be doing, we should be requesting a new fare increase as we speak. I will hold because of Melissa and a number of other things, and now we are feeling the pinch. What the sector needs now is a fare increase plus a fare balance.
So your members, Highland Wild, have decided to hold strain until next month, sir?
Well, I cannot say that because we left a meeting 2.5 hours ago, 4.5 hours ago, and President gone back to consult with their members. And of course, by tomorrow we can say that the sector is down the waiting list.
I see. What are some of the other thing that I must ask you? I remember from Mr. Shaw was transport minister, there was some call for parking in the corporate area. Has that been addressed?
That is a major challenge we are having now, and both us and government is breaking the law. They are all breaking the law because by law, you cannot give a man a road taxi license without parking facility. And you know that we break the law by parking and stopping and picking up anywhere. So the two of us are in the wrong. Today, the Transport Authority and the Minister concur that they are looking at at least three major parking airports, and the discussion is far advanced. But downtown, Happy, and halfway through. And I think with dragging, from my perspective, this is from Todd's perspective, I think the government is dragging the seed. We got to go ahead to use a park downtown beside the church, there's a church park. I can't tell you exactly the road right now. But the fact is, that park only needs $25 million to retrofit. And the request has been made to the government for nearly 5 months now, and nothing or more. And nothing has been done to handle that $25 million. Yes, Papi might take a little more. And same thing for halfway tree. But give us one, and then the second, and then to the third. You cannot have the guys there, they a road license, stopping and picking up all over the place, and still the police is at their heels with a ticket book, and in some case a record. We have to do something.
What about
right? So that's the major problem. Well, that's another thing where we've been on the transport authority regulation to speak to all bus stops become PPV stop. And I hope there's no changes to that, but that is what has been discussed, and we are waiting the regulation. The point is, the regulation is taking too long to come to the depths of the sector.
But Mr. Newman, let me ask you, tell me some things that have been achieved on behalf of the public passenger operators for the last 5 years. Tell me some things that have been achieved. You have achieved from government for them.
Well, there's a number of small things. Well, the first thing I want to look at since the new took office is the establishment of a body that can represent the sector. I'm not going to say that body has been doing its best. I would want to say that body needs to do more. That is the establishment of the National Steering Committee for Public Transport Operators. That is going. There are other things that have been there, but not into the extent that need notation. The routing system and the handing over of a number of sub-franchise license areas, JUTC areas to small sub-franchises, and also the taxi industry. It's a good one, because when a man needs to get, let's say, 10 tickets a day for operating contrary, he can now only get maybe 1 or 2, and this will be for parking. So the route transformation is a very, very important one.
Tell us where in the corporate area that was achieved. Which one? Tell me some of the routes that You take me off the map. You take me a little bit more because I didn't expect you to ask. But for 27 routes in the corporate area, 27 areas in the corporate area requested by transport operator has been granted, and I stand corrected. But it's over 20, and we are happy for that. No, remember now, you used to have maybe 120 taxis running between Harbour and Papi. Yeah.
So Harbour, and they were operating illegal, and they could be taken away for that. Now, they can now operate on that route free of cost. When I say free of cost, I mean free of interruption. Now they are legal operators to that route because there's no official taxi route. Halfway to Papin, where they call it Mountain View, Ringwood Road, Harbour View, Waltham, you name it. So all the routes that you see halfway used to run illegal. Now they are now legal routes, and I want to say big thanks for that. The only area that the operator requested to be a route is I think like Spanish Town to Crossroads, Spanish Town to Harbour Tree, and I think Spanish Town to downtown. Those routes being utilized by operators and doing an awesome job because not everybody went to JUTC bus. So the taxi men have been providing an excellent service, but they have not officially received that area as a route. And I think halfway to downtown Kingston, and I'm begging the government, these guys have been operating for years, untouched, right? Except for they are operating illegal. Why can't you give them the route? Because not everybody else said before not taking the UTC bus, they depend on those taxes. But the other areas, they have received that. That to me, that's a massive because the JUTC when they didn't want to go nowhere, but this minister and the Transport Authority and us go to the bargaining material and we'll do that.
You know that some of your drivers continue to be some of the worst drivers on the roads, though. You know.
There's no interview I have a piece file for you, that at the end of each interview, we are the worst thing since life. And I say, yes, that's true, but you don't know. 13% of us are bad. Most of us are in the KMTR. We have programs to address that. The government, 3 years ago, said, put in place a training program in the light of that. The sector itself, with international support, put in place a professional training course. And already we are waiting a few dollars from the government to get that off the ground because the operators need that. They need to change the way they do business. We've been working with them, but we can't find the resources to get the training off the ground. We are hoping that we start in June, which is National Road Safety Month, because our focus is on safety. Let me tell you something, my brother. Think about it. We have not had one fatality in the sector since the start of the year. And that is simply because of our road safety campaign. Not even one. Normally, wow, people cost us gone to bed. Deaths in taxi, deaths in buses. Name one since the start of the year.
Okay.
We love it.
Okay, that is good news. Well, the taxi operators, they are waiting on June 1. Today is the 17th, so you have roughly 2 weeks to wait. Another 2 weeks and you should know exactly what your fare you should. Well, 16% is due. Am I right? All right, so
16%, and that's what we want. 15%, not 7 and 8%. We want 16. Sorry, not 8 and 8%. We want 16%. So I said that to the minister straightforward today, and I hope she'll take it into consideration.
Well, let's hope that things will work out the right way.
But let us use your program to urge transport operators not to go there and increase their fare on the poor Jamaican people. Don't do it. Just wait until June 1 to hear what the government has in store for us.
All right. Let's hope that things will work out all right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Mr. Newman.
Not a problem, sir. Let's get being with you.
Let us hope that things will work out on the right side, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we will wait and see what is going to happen on June 1. That is when the government made it known that they will be paying or approving the fare increase. Yeah. Let us hope that that will happen on time on June 1, and so that we can have some order in the sector. Well, as I said at the start of the show, we hope that action will be taken so that the police can start wearing their body cams, right? We want the security force to be in a position to present to us accurate information, right? And the only reason why the police don't want to wear the cameras, if they are speaking the truth, well, the cameras will help to substantiate their story, and that will make what they are saying credible. I don't understand why they shouldn't they should refuse, or they should, hesitate to wear their body cameras. I just can't understand. Well, let us see what is going to happen in the coming weeks, right? This is Rebel Radio. Let us go for a break.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
Welcome to Caribbean Business Review, where insight meets impact. We bring you economic and financial updates, sharp statistical breakdowns, and data-driven insights on the forces shaping the region. Smart analysis, bold ideas, real Caribbean intelligence. This is CBR.
Episode 18 of Season 3 of the Caribbean Business Review. I'm Joseph Cox. Well, thank you so much for your continued support across MKR Radio and our digital platforms. Now, as the CBR Media platform approaches its first anniversary on May 18, we also want to thank our growing regional and international audience for helping transform Caribbean Business Review into a truly multi-platform Caribbean business program. Now, please be advised that a new edition of the Caribbean Financial Dispatch is now available. Readers can follow the dispatch at caribbeanfinancialsdispatch.substack.com. In this week's program, our special guest is Dr. Leakim Samaj, psychologist, founder of Samaj Mind Spa, and a leading Caribbean voice on mental health and organizational reform. In our discussion, we examine how many Caribbean professionals increasingly operate within high-stress, low-efficiency systems shaped by performative organizational frameworks that intensify cognitive overload while undermining productivity. And in today's CBR briefing, the burnout economy, exhaustion, relevance, and the Caribbean productivity paradox, we examine how technological acceleration, economic insecurity, and modern workplace culture are intensifying burnout across the Caribbean, even as productivity growth remains persistently weak. But before we proceed, there's a development that requires careful attention. The Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association's opposition to Booking.com's proposed policy of charging commissions on government-imposed accommodation taxes highlights a potentially significant new channel of tourism revenue leakage at a time when the region already struggles to retain sufficient value from the industry. Across much of the Caribbean, tourism earnings rapidly leaked outwards towards imports, foreign ownership structures, booking platforms, and external service providers. Jamaica is estimated to retain some 40.8 cents of every tourism dollar generated, while the Bahamas reportedly retains closer to 25 cents, with some destinations performing even lower. Against that backdrop, allowing commissions to be extracted from taxes already collected on behalf of governments risks deepening the externalization of tourism revenues and further weakening the fiscal benefits of the sector for small island economies. The concern also extends beyond Booking.com itself. If replicated across digital travel platforms and eventually normalized throughout the broader accommodation ecosystem, including segments of the short-term rental market, the practice could create a wider contagion effect across the Caribbean tourism distribution systems. Dominica's move to prohibit commissions on government-imposed accommodation taxes may therefore prove regionally significant. The issue is no longer simply commercial. It increasingly touches fiscal sovereignty, tax integrity, and the protection of already fragile tourism revenue bases. Caribbean governments now need to move far more urgently towards coordinated legislative and regulatory frameworks governing digital booking platforms, accommodation taxes, and platform commission structures before a larger share of tourism-generated fiscal revenues become embedded within external platform extraction models. Now, with that in mind, let's turn to key developments shaping the regional and global economy this hour in Market Watch and Global Pulse. Coming up in the Market Watch, Jamaica's inflation rate declines in April, Barbados' new precautionary IMF facility, and hoteliers call for tax equality. Then in Global Pulse, U.S. inflation jumps 3.8%, Bank of Canada holds rates at 2.25%, and China's banks face a $3 trillion bad debt. All that and more this hour on Market Watch on Global Pulse. Coming up next is the CBR Briefing. This is a CBR Briefing. Now, across the Caribbean, many workers increasingly feel exhausted. Not simply tired, exhausted. Always reachable, always responding, always connected. And yet, despite longer working hours, continuous digital connectivity, and rising workplace intensity, productivity growth across much of the Caribbean has remained persistently weak. That contradiction may point to something deeper emerging beneath the surface of Caribbean economies, because increasingly modern labor systems appear to be producing a paradox. Workers are becoming more psychologically strained without economies becoming proportionally more productive. Technology accelerated work, but perhaps more importantly, it accelerated expectations. The emails continue, the messages continue, the notifications continue, and many workers now find themselves technically off work, but never fully disconnected from it psychologically. Burnout, therefore, may no longer be simply a wellness issue. It may increasingly represent a form of economic friction. According to the International Labour Organization, labor productivity growth across the Caribbean averaged roughly 0.6% annually between 2005 and 2023, significantly below the global average. So an uncomfortable question emerges. Why are Caribbean workers becoming increasingly psychologically exhausted without generating proportionate productivity gains? Part of the answer may lie in the growing fear of irrelevance. For many workers, particularly those approaching retirement age, rapid technological change and automation are increasingly experienced psychologically as potential displacement. The fear is not simply exhaustion, it is replacement. And under those conditions, many workers may feel compelled to continuously prove responsiveness, adaptability, and productivity in order to remain professionally relevant. Ironically, those pressures often intensify labor participation. Workers may increasingly defer vacation leave, remain constantly accessible, suppress signs of fatigue, and overcompensate through continuous responsiveness in an effort to remain indispensable. But the pressure is not confined to older workers alone. Younger workers increasingly face anxieties surrounding automation, artificial intelligence, economic insecurity, and long-term career durability. And so both younger and older workers increasingly find themselves competing not merely to work, but to remain economically relevant. And perhaps one of the most important dimensions of modern burnout is cultural. Because in many professional environments, the pressure to overwork is rarely communicated explicitly. Few organizations formally require employees to work 12 or 14-hour days. Instead, the expectation emerges implicitly. Who stays online the latest? Who responds fastest? Who remains constantly accessible? Who sacrifices leave? And over time, workers may begin internalizing the belief that exhaustion itself becomes evidence of commitment, seriousness, ambition, or professional value. Under these conditions, overwork increasingly becomes performative. The worker is not merely producing output, the worker is continuously signaling relevance. And in some organizational cultures, any attempt to establish boundaries or preserve work-life balance may quietly be interpreted as insufficient commitment towards the organization. In that kind of environment, burnout no longer exists at the margins of the system, it becomes embedded within the culture of work itself. And perhaps this becomes particularly important for the Caribbean, because the region has long described itself through the language of resilience, and that resilience is real. But an increasingly uncomfortable question now emerges. What if some systems survive not because they are sustainable resilient, but because populations have become conditioned to prolonged endurance under continuous strain? Because resilience and endurance are not necessarily the same thing. Resilience implies recovery, regeneration, and sustainable adaptation. Endurance may simply mean continuing despite exhaustion. And perhaps that becomes one of the defining developmental questions facing Caribbean societies in the modern era, because a society can survive prolonged strain and still become progressively weaker beneath the surface. And that's your CBR briefing. This is your market brief. Jamaica is seeking a new $150 million catastrophe bond. At the same time, the consumer price index declined 0.3% in April, but point-to-point inflation reached 4.3%, while the agricultural sector recorded a Q1 12% year-on-year increase in vegetable production. In Barbados, government secured a precautionary $260 million US IMF facility. Tourism momentum remains strong across the Eastern Caribbean. Antigua recorded a 7% increase in Q1 visitor arrivals to more than 110,000 visitors, while St. Vincent welcomed a record 120,000 stayover visitors last year. Meanwhile, Caribbean hotel leaders are pushing for equal taxation between hotels and short-term rental platforms, while warning that new Booking.com commission policies would create significant regional revenue leakage. Elsewhere, the Cayman Islands economy expanded 2.8% during the first 9 months of 2025, while Moody's upgraded Bermuda's sovereign rating to A1 amid stronger fiscal performance and falling debt levels. And finally, regional cyber risk intensified sharply during 2025, with the English-speaking Caribbean recording 325 million cyber attack attempts, according to Fortinet's latest threat report. Now that's your market brief on the Caribbean Business Review. For more, look for us on YouTube and Spotify.
In a world of constant change, insight is your greatest asset. At Joseph Cox & Associates, we empower innovation across the Caribbean. Whatever your challenge, we can help. We're proudly customer-centric, offering bespoke solutions tailored to every partner. From innovation and digital transformation to leadership and policy, our services are designed to deliver lasting impact. We partner with leaders across sectors, from finance and government to energy, tech, and infrastructure, helping them navigate complexity with confidence. Our work is grounded in collaboration. We connect regional leaders through powerful networks, driving change through joint research. Discover more at josephcox.org. Joseph Cox & Associates. Insight, experience, impact.
Ahead on Caribbean Business Review, our conversation with psychologist Dr. Lakim Samaj, founder of Samaj Mind Spa, where we discuss when work never ends, burnout, technology, and the Caribbean productivity crisis.
You have organized and disorganized countries, and we are disorganized, all right? And there are many times when our leadership, when they talk about modernization and putting systems in place, but they must be exempt from the system.
Okay, welcome back to the Caribbean Business Review. My name is Joseph Cox, and today my very special guest, a good friend of mine of years, Dr. Lakim Samaj. Of course, Lakim is a noted psychologist, and he's also now leading what I call the Mind Spa. What is the Mind Spa? The Samaj Mind Spa. I love it. Welcome, my friend. All right. Today we want to speak about burnout and its impact on economic development. And frankly speaking, Lakim, as I welcome you to the program, one of the considerations that I do have about this is that we seemingly, even with the advent of substantive forms of innovation, whether it be digital or otherwise, it seems as if we are now working in what I call a low efficiency, high stress equilibrium, the type of marketplace, whereby, you find people constantly complaining of increased fatigue right across the region. And one wonders, I suppose where we would start with you, is frankly speaking, from where you sit, are we now as a region, as a country in Jamaica and as a region throughout the Caribbean, are we really suffering from basically what would be a psychological overload?
Absolutely. It's no longer, when you raise this issue about burnout, it's not a private emotional problem.
No.
It's an economic issue, a productivity issue, a national development issue, a public health issue. So the entire society is becoming psychologically exhausted. And if we could even look at the present context, we can take it back to COVID, COVID forced a lot of adjustments to be made quickly, integrating it into global issues. And in many ways, we were not ready, right? And a lot of catching up has not gone on. So when you have a population suffering from exhaustion and the workforce You really, it's a perfect storm. And what happens now, when we have a closer approximation to the rest of the productive world, we're able to see how far behind we are. And that even adds furthermore to the stresses. Now, I define myself in two ways. One, I am a nomad. Now, how you spell it? No, not the one we used to. I'm a digital nomad, KNOW, MAD. I'm a knowledge worker, KNOW, that can work anywhere from anywhere. All right? All I need is Wi-Fi and a reliable, computer. And that's the new world. Now, persons who aren't able to do that, they are, what happens at multinational companies, they could facilitate having persons in different jurisdictions and so on. But we as individual knowledge workers, we can do exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. And even some of the things that multinationals did, we can also now do. For example, I have people working for me in the Philippines, India, Pakistan, Nigeria, the United States. Because again, the common element is having an internet. So now it's very hard to limit yourself to the frustration of Caribbean life and Jamaican life. And because I physically move back and forth between Florida and Jamaica, sometimes it's like going back in time. So for example, maybe I'll give you a basic example that you're in Jamaica. You say, well, listen, I need to do a couple of things before I get to work, or I need to stop by the bank. I need to stop by JPS at some point. I need to go to the water commission. And there's this notion that you can do 2 or 3 things in a day. I have come down to the rule now. You at best, you may be able to get 1 thing done in a day in Jamaica, because going to the bank is inevitable all-day activity. You go to the bank to take a number and to sit down and wait. Any of the utilities? Recently, my wife lost her phone on a flight. Somewhere in the airport, lost her phone. Mm-hmm. This is a number she has had for up to 10 years. So she contacted the phone company and went down there. They say because when she got this phone, her name was da-da-da. She had been divorced and remarried, etc. since way back then. They need a copy of the divorce paper in order for them to even facilitate this. A colleague of mine was in the hospital in Miami last week, and there was an issue with his phone, and it stopped working. It was roaming, and he contacted for, you owe X amount of dollars, that's why it was cut off. So he said, all right, listen, I'll arrange it now, because it's the only way I can have an operation in 2 days' time, and it's the only way I can keep in touch with the surgeon and the hospital and so on. So can I just send the money immediately? No. This phone was taken out in the name of a company. So the company has to send us a letter on letterhead and stamp with seal before we can. Yes, would ever get to work yet, Would ever get to work yet. So a lot of the burnout is just the stresses of living in a disorganized environment. And travel. Now, again, I say I work between Jamaica and Fort Lauderdale. I do not put travel as an issue. Why is that? It takes me 90 minutes to get from Fort Lauderdale to Kingston. It's 2 hours to get from Stony Hill to Duke Street. It's 2.5 hours to get from Stony Hill to Portmore.
All in Kingston.
You follow me? My daughter is an attorney, huh? She goes to work for 8:30. She can't leave the house later than 6:30 to get to work for 8:30. But she doesn't get home. If she gets home at 8:30 any day, it's an early day for her. Because it means that either she was sitting in traffic the whole time, or she had to wait till the traffic finishes. So I'm starting with that as just a backdrop. Not to mention the technological issues, but just life, the things we take for granted. And especially because we are connected with the rest of the world. So we know that it shouldn't take you all day for a bank transaction. As I explained to my banker here, listen, man, I got a check last week, when I was in Florida, And I took a picture of the check and posted it. You know? By the end of the day, the money was available in my account. No, in Jamaica, you would tell me, say, we're going to take 5 days for that to clear. And I could go on and on and on, but I was saying, but just the backdrop of what life systems are put in place. But guess what? The persons who put the system in place don't have to live by the system. You know, they say Jamaica is what they call a connect crossing. You have to have contacts to get everything done. So once you have, you need 17 contacts right away. 17 at least.
No, but you see, well, here is the paradox. No, but here's the paradox of it. Because even where the technology is there, what I find happening now is that persons, instead of, I mean, if we go back to days of our parents and our forefathers, they were more involved in a more routine and structured environment. So they go to work at, whether it's 8 o'clock or whatever, they come off at 5, 6 o'clock, and that's that. Nowadays, I find with the use of the technology and your realization of COVID, and became even more obvious during that time period, a lot of people, they were constantly connected. So there was never any time to there's no time to wind down, so to speak, because you're expected now with the advent of the technology, you're expected to be on call basically 24 hours a day if you're not careful. You're ending up in a situation whereby the barriers, the normal barriers of engagement have all broken down. And so it's work. And yet still, you also have the what I call the cognitive barriers now, where people believe there are some cultural things that have been brought into the space, whereby, and I wrote a paper about this not so long ago, where people are expected to work. You go in a corporate setting and you're expected, if you leave before 7, 8 o'clock in the night, you are deemed to be somehow not committed to the job. People are praised for existing on 4 or 5 hours of sleep. In other words, we operate in a very dysfunctional frame, which, frankly speaking, is not sustainable and don't make sense.
No, it's become almost standardized. I remember doing some work some time ago for major financial institution, and I remember working with a number of the senior managers, and they told me that if they could get 80% of the salary they now make, they would leave the job tomorrow because of issues like that. They say one of the rituals, you look out through the window to see whose car is in the parking lot, and you don't want yours to the one to leave first. So there's this thing, and you mentioned about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So I remember a woman tell me a situation that she's in banking. I said, Dr. Samaj, I've held every post except the most senior. I'm not interested in being an entrepreneur, but I want out of this rat race. I want, and I love banking, by the way, I want to speak to my HR manager, but it may sound strange. I'd like to be demoted to either a teller or the most ridiculous, a supervisor. The idea is that she must be able to leave work at a decent time. She said at one time, she got home about 7:30 and the kids were at the door. Mommy, what happened? They have never seen Mommy come out before 8:30. I said for her work and life, she walks in the door with a handbag and a computer. And she goes straight to the home office and the work continues. So Dr. Samaj, I've done every course in banking. There's 2 other courses I like to do in my life. I want to learn to make Chinese food and how to make drapes. And my dream in life is to come home and have dinner with my husband and children. No, wow. I'm sure that is not unusual. That's almost like the job description of a Jamaican professional. Because your work day is, and that whole thing, who will leave early? No, you're not committed. How come you gone before 7 o'clock? Or somebody calls. There's a common one in Jamaica. You get an email at 9 o'clock at night. And then there's upset that, you didn't answer. The person is contacting you about 7 o'clock. I said, but I didn't get an answer from you. No, there's some pushback taking place now, some discussion about social hours. business hours, what are you responsible for, and so on. But you're right about that extra pressure. So what you have added is the stressors, almost the non-specific work-related stressors, but then you add that to the social stressors, the transportation stressors. Look, tell you something that's basic. I had to change out the rims of my vehicle last year. Listen, because the vehicle was a low-profile, it came with low-profile tires, huh? Low-profile rims. If you hit a pothole, chances are you're going to bust the rim and the tires. I have a situation where I bust 2 tires and rims at the same time because there's this pothole you didn't realize, and you went through both front and back went through, and both rims were gone. Now, Jamaica is a SUV country. In a low profile, even in the corporate area, my wife says when you're driving, you have to drive like you're walking on Maca with bedroom slippers. Looking for the pothole, looking for the potholes. So even that's the stresses. Let's add one more piece. Many of the new vehicles in Jamaica have these high intensity lights.
Yes.
You know when we were learning to drive, this thing about you dip your lights. Huh? You want to dip light, and you cannot because the roads are so dark at night anyway, huh? Because the lighting is poor, so people just have on the high beams. And if your vehicle is a little low, even the normal beams are right in your face.
Yeah.
So again, the backdrop of the stresses of life. And we are expected to produce an equivalent to world-class standards. It is rough. It is rough.
It is.
But my works 1 day a week for me, my farm area. He couldn't come to work on Monday because he said he broke a tooth on Sunday, and he had to go to the dentist. No, unless you go to he called me about 4 o'clock. Said he got through. So anything like, unless you are a private doctor person and so on, anything to do with healthcare is your whole day. If you're not to get through.
It's true, but you see, Lakim, you raise up a critical point that I don't want to miss, and it's this in terms of the social stressors, because and this is not just a Jamaica issue. This is frankly right through the region, if you're not careful, and probably throughout the world, and that's the issue of what I call the dependency issues now. So, for example, yes, you have your job and they have all sorts of expectations. But for a number of persons, and if you recognize that, for example, throughout the region, our dependency ratios, meaning people looking after either elderly persons or children, etc., they're relatively high. And the fact of life is that when you layer that on top of what you would call the workplace stress, the normal social stress, and then they come down to that sort of dependency, it becomes an issue.
Let me drill down a little deeper on that one.
Sure.
There's a standard presentation I like to make when I speak with managers. HR managers are under the biggest stress because for different reasons, right? HR managers. But you know where's the hotspot going forward? Gen X. Gen X are between the 30-35 and 50-55, huh? That group. That's a group before senior management to a large extent, right? No, that group of managers are in trouble. Let me tell you why. They have children in high school and or college. They are also taking care of retired parents. Only 20% of Jamaicans have any kind of pension. Roughly 20%. That means that 80% of Jamaicans, unless you have savings, and that's at the top 0.1 of 1%. But the average Jamaican old person don't have no pension and don't have no savings. So is your children, and if you look it up, my son Joseph is big time economist, you know. There are many economists, Josephs and so on, who are taking care of between you and your wife, taking care of sometimes 4 elderly people, plus 2 or 3 children in college. No, you understand that social stress. My word to companies. Any company who can offer their managers, their Gen X manager, two things. One, you can put your parents on the health plan.
Yeah, I can see that.
You realize what that takes off of you. And the second, we will give you a 5% mortgage. All right, make it 6. Huh? So you see where I'm going with that? Because that group of persons' house don't pay for it.
Yes.
So that the strain of their mortgage, the strain of the education of their children, because and then Mr. would have like free healthcare in Jamaica. Now we do have free education, right?
Yeah.
And having to take care of. So any company offers that, they clean up, because that Gen X is a small group demographically. So it's going to be competition for those people. But then, can you imagine, if you're in that category, and a company is offering that you can put your parents on the health plan, and they will give you a 5% or a 6% mortgage. You say, they say, when do you start? You tell them tomorrow. So again,
it's a serious point. But you see, but here comes the other side of that kind, because you look at it and you look at all these issues, the economic issues, the incentives, etc., etc. But then there are some what I'm almost calling company cultural issues, whereby, and this is where I'm going with this particular argument. You're in there. So for your young persons, whether you're Gen X then, right? And I suppose the older ones will be what? That's what they call boomer. I'm not even sure anymore.
Boomers and then the X and then the Z's and then the A's and so yeah.
All right, good. Now, here is the issue for it. For the Gen X, a lot of them are under high stress. Why? Not just the issue of AI and so on, but they feel that they need to remain relevant. So they have to make themselves relevant in that space. Because for fear that they will be displaced by the technology, by even younger workers, etc., etc. That's one thing. The boomers now, the older ones who are closer to retirement, they're under even greater stress because they want to ensure that they also maintain their relevance so that they are not farmed out. Because once they hit probably, 55, 60, right? Unless they have entrepreneurial skills or some other kind of backup plan, the likelihood of them being, of them getting new employment is vastly reduced for a number of reasons. So, it seems that we are caught in the midst of on the hands of a dilemma where basically the labor force, dependent on how you view it, is always under stress, and there are also these additional concerns. But when they take everything in its totality, it reduces the effective productivity.
No, absolutely. That same group. I have created a partial solution there. I have an option. One thing that my company does, we do hiring for companies, and somebody said, well, listen, we're looking for some young managers to get a new project started and so on, all of that. I said, tell you, we're a thing called the tried and proven tap talent. This is the same group. At 65 and in good health, the amount of knowledge that you have and wisdom, and to just let go. And especially if you're not entrepreneurial and so on, that person, you can, first of all, you need the money, right? But you can be utilized. You want to work 3 days a week, 3 mornings a week, or what? The time it will take for a new person to come up to productive stage, you've been there and done that.
Yeah.
So that we have offered a number of companies that have contacted us, listen, we can identify some recently retired people who could do this in their sleep. They're not asking for no benefits. They're not asking, all the other perks. Give them a contract, a 6-month contract, a 3-month contract. So we have created those kind of models now to fill that gap. Because then a number of companies, it was almost a standard policy that once you reach retirement, they bring you on as a part-time consultant based on what the needs are. But now with the pressures on the system, now No, they can't do that anymore because you have to hire these other people and so on. No, as in Jamaica say, anywhere you turn, Maka juke you. You know, no, it's rough. It's the pieces are, you know, the
No,
pressures are.
it is. But you see, the thing is this, that when you're looking at this issue, this burnout, when you're looking at the psychological impacts and the psychological overload that is facing the persons, part of the thing is that we're in the midst of a paradox. The greater the technology tools, the greater the innovations, the lower the productivity, right? And at the same time, and then we continue to complain, then we have the dysfunction where you're right. And some enterprises, once a person hits, I don't know, 60, out the door they go. That's fine. And the rationale is always, oh, well, you know, you have to allow for labor market mobility. That's also fine in theory. But you can't bridge the experiential gap. And because of that gap, here's the further part of the paradox. You then import the labor. So even the ones who are within the system, they're still not benefiting. You bring in the labor from third country markets, and then you displace the ones who continue to have your skills locally, which makes, to me, absolutely no sense, but it contributes to a very high stress environment.
Well, yes, and then with that, what you lose of institutional knowledge.
Yeah, of course.
That group of person, they built the system. So they know all about it, even more than what the manual even said. As another issue that you and I have been able to, so when some companies decide now to draw on international expertise, quote unquote, and look, Jamaica is a very sad place where Jamaica is willing to pay foreign people.
Oh, God. It's a regional thing.
World class. And guess what? They come and talk to you. You answer all the questions. They put their name on the report and they get paid 10 times what if they just ask you to do the job. Yeah. So that's a part of the paradox for us in terms of productivity, that persons who are making those kind of decisions and so on, very easy. And I say, you know, when you look at many government, especially some government entities, part of what, you know, anything when they travel, and if they have to go seek talent abroad and so on, first of all, they get travel, they get per diem, you know, all kinds of things in the package. If they source somebody from abroad as opposed to, so at every level, it is, the exhaustion is there, the mental, the social, the cognitive, the emotional, and so on. And at the same time, you have to produce.
No, but then, Leakim, yeah, of course you have to produce, but then here comes the thing for me now, because you have to also look, so how do you get out of that? Because I am equally aware that in a number of companies, people, when they, for example, are going towards retirement, they don't want to take the leave, they try to bank the leave, so they get a bigger payout at the end of the contract. For those younger, they don't want to take the leave, because if they take the leave, they believe that they're showing that they are not as committed and they're more dispensable, etc., etc. But at the same time, we have this, as I said to you, this dysfunctional facility that we have created and really undermining the whole process. And I'm mindful of things like where I've been exposed enough to know you have some enterprises overseas, at least, who they enforce the vacation leave thing. They say that the person they must have specified number of no contact days, right, with the company during particular parts of the year. And I'm just wondering, why is that we're not seeing more of those things?
For a number of reasons for us. One, to a large extent, many Jamaicans feel like and are underpaid relative to their skill level, especially compared to elsewhere. And for many Jamaicans at every level, you know, vacation is a chance to go somewhere to earn some extra money. Just think about it. Our teachers, our nurses, our doctors, either at every level, any chance you can get, and you can take a no-pay leave, especially, and go abroad and earn some quote-unquote proper money. So people do that. I remember some years ago, I was doing some work with the police force, and I was shocked the amount of senior officers have told me that for 10 years, I've never taken a vacation because they just don't do that. You need it on the job and on the job. I said, but boss, the level of stresses, you need to step away from. And I arrange a situation because then I've doing some work with super clubs, and I arranged for a number of free weekends, which I facilitated. And my one of the senior officer is the first time in 10 years he has been able to put down a firearm for a whole weekend and don't even touch it, put it in the safe when he reaches Friday and don't even look on it. No, so there's a point of diminished return.
Of course.
You don't take no break, you don't take no break. So
you're not a machine.
And we don't have a culture like that in Jamaica, you know. Even with our leaders. When you ever heard of our leaders are on vacation? You never hear about the vacation? I can't think of any time. You hear they're traveling and for meetings and so on, and for meetings and for this. You have never heard that. But we hear prime ministers and presidents of, are on leave for 2 weeks or for a month or so and so. So that the example is set from the top. And then one of the ways that you test your systems, is that managers should be able to take time off and somebody else play their role. That's when you realize that there's anything wrong.
Yeah.
But some people can't take the time off because any of them miss a week. Something when we found out. But no, it is broader than you even started with this thing called burnout. Jamaica is a hard place to live. It's a rough place to live. From you leave your house in the morning when you go on the road. No? I've had some JPS. After the hurricane and everything went back to normal, I saw. But then I had a low voltage problem in my house. No, low voltage is worse than no electricity,
Yeah, absolutely.
It destroys your equipment.
It destroys your things, yeah.
When you turn on a generator or something. And I had to use again, that the contactracy. I had to call a contact who could, all right, doc, and make sure that by tomorrow somebody come fix it for you. There's some stories I could tell you that my daughter called me her social capitalist father. Because the amount of things that the roadblocks she run into. And daddy, can you make a call for me? And so I remember I had to call a managing director of a bank about an issue my daughter was having. I apologize for making the call. He said, no, you don't need to apologize, boss. We as fathers, including me, once any of my children are outside of my orbit, more often I have to make a phone call to facilitate something for them because our systems don't work. That's the kind of nonsense. Our systems don't work. So
no, but then, ultimately, what then becomes part of the solution framework? Because what obtains now can't continue. That's for sure.
No. Logo, Professor Erdman said that you don't have developed or underdeveloped countries. You have organized and disorganized countries. And we are disorganized. All right? And there are many times when our leadership, when they talk about modernization and putting systems in place, but they must be exempt from the system. I've had examples where I am asked to source a senior person for a particular government entity. And when I give them the short list, I remember in one case they wanted to, but these are the top 5 after we did all the interviews and all the assessments and everything. Mm-hmm. They said, what about Mr. So-and-so? No, he's not in the top 5. So they asked me again, could you give us the top 10 then? So he's not in the top 10 either. All right, can you give us the top 15? What do I get? And you realize at the end of the day, they hired number 15.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, because there are many times where they had somebody pre-programmed for the position, but they wanted to go through the appearance that there was an objective process by which I informed them anyhow it ever slip from your mouth that says that it is Dr. Samaj's firm that did the search and did that. I'm going to tell them, yes, after I did the search, I was asked to give the top 15. And you gave the job to number 15. So that we have these kinds of systems that are in place. Many years ago, Joseph, I said that any party who offered me 4 things, not only would I vote for them, I'd also campaign. One, you will use public transportation to get to work. The mayor of New York uses a subway from Gracie Mansion. Right. Your children will attend public school. You will use the public health care facility that you provide for the rest of us. And you will live in your constituency.
You have clearly never campaigned for a soul.
Oh, no. I don't hear from nobody yet. Because you realize though, what I've talked about, all those systems that they put in place for us, they don't use them.
Exactly.
Healthcare, they're on a plane out of here. Educating their children, not subjected to what we are subjected to. The roads, they all have SUVs paid for by the public purse.
Yeah.
And constituency, they don't live in their constituency. It's somebody who is in a comfortable, like the senator for Virginia. Home is in Virginia. He may have an apartment in New York, in Washington during time.
Right.
But a significant number of our personnel do not live anywhere near.
Absolutely.
Where they represent. So that's where until we have those kind of the systems that we put in place for us, you must also be required to use it. Until we can do that.
So be required to lead by example. And which I suppose is, I suppose where we have to leave it for today. Dr. Lekem Samaj, psychologist, lead of the Mind Spa, the Samaj Mind Spa, which I have to avail myself of.
Well, it's more
Thank
than
you
that.
so
It's
much.
the notion of how the optimal living. So we try to
Well,
do.
put it this way: on another occasion, Lekem, you have to come public again about fine dining Fridays. I think it's the most fascinating concept.
Yes.
But we don't have the time for today. But thank you so much, my friend. All the best to you.
Till we meet again.
This is your Market Watch. Regional cyber threats intensified during 2025, with the English-speaking Caribbean recording 325 million cyber attack attempts, including 46.7 million attacks targeting Jamaica. Globally, ransomware victims surged 389% as AI-powered cybercrime accelerated exploitation activity. In the Cayman Islands, the economy expanded an estimated 2.8% during the first 9 months of 2025. Government posted an $86 million surplus, while public debt declined to $393.7 million. Cayman's labor force also expanded 6.6%, with unemployment at 2.6%, though youth unemployment remained at 13.7%. In Bermuda, Moody's upgraded the country's sovereign rating to A1 from A2, citing stronger fiscal performance and corporate tax revenues. Debt is projected to decline to 27% of GDP by 2026 from 49% in 2020. In Jamaica, the government signed a $9 million agreement with Korea's KOICA to modernize land administration systems through new GIS, geospatial, and digital land management infrastructure. Meanwhile, the country is seeking a new $150 million catastrophe bond ahead of the hurricane season. The agricultural sector also rebounded strongly after the hurricane, with first quarter vegetable production rising 12% over 2025 levels. At the same time, April inflation eased slightly as the CPI declined 0.3%, reflecting lower electricity costs despite rising transport and food prices. Elsewhere, Antigua and Barbuda recorded a 7% increase in Q1 tourist arrivals to over 110,000, while St. Vincent and the Grenadines welcome a record 120,000 stay-over visitors in 2025. Barbados secured a precautionary $260 million IMF facility, while Trinidad signed an agreement enabling permanent World Bank offices and supporting a potential $1 to $3 billion investment pipeline. Meanwhile, Cuba confirmed it has exhausted diesel and fuel oil reserves, triggering blackouts lasting up to 22 hours daily and disrupting tourism, transport, and public services. And finally, Caribbean tourism leaders are pushing for equal taxation between hotels and short-term rentals such as Airbnb, while opposing Booking.com's new tax commission policy, warning it could create tens of millions of dollars in regional revenue leakage annually. Now turning to regional markets and currencies, foreign exchange markets remain broadly stable across CARICOM, with most currencies holding their pegs or managed ranges against the US dollar. The Jamaican dollar trades at $159.03 to the US, the Ghana dollar at $2.18, Trinidad at $6.78, and Suriname at $37.48. The Haitian gourd traded at $1.31.01. In the meat markets, regional indices showed mixed performance. Jamaica's JC index gained 0.20%, Trinidad and Tobago's All-TNT index rose 0.32%, and the Bahamas' BISX jumped 0.14%. In Barbados, Bermuda, and the ECA markets, they all remained flat. Top movers were Answer Merchant Bank, which increased by 14%, and CPJ Limited, which declined by 10%. Now that's it for your Market Watch. I'm Joseph Cox. Global Pulse is up next. This is CBR. This is a Global Pulse. Global energy and inflation pressures continued intensifying as crude and fuel shipments through the Strait of Hormuz fell to 14.6 million barrels per day in the first quarter of 2026, down from 20.4 million a year earlier. Brent crude prices have surged more than 45%. The U.S. recorded a $215 billion budget surplus in April, down 17% from $258 billion a year earlier, while inflation accelerated to 3.8% in April, the highest since 2023, with gasoline prices up 28.4% year-on-year and airfares rising 20.7%. Producer inflation also surged, with annual PPI reaching 6%, while import price inflation climbed to 4.2%. Despite those pressures, retail sales still increased 4.9% year-on-year. President Trump has meanwhile backed a temporary suspension of federal gasoline taxes as fuel prices remain elevated, though analysts estimate the measure could cost roughly $500 million weekly. Across Europe, stagflation concerns continue building. France's unemployment rate rose to 8.1%, the highest level in 5 years, while Irish mortgage costs increased further as markets anticipate additional ECB tightening. Germany's investor sentiment improved modestly, though economic conditions remain weak amid higher energy prices and slowing activity. In Asia, China's passenger vehicle sales fell 21.6% in April, reinforcing concerns over weak domestic demand and growing export dependence. Analysts also estimate China's true non-performing loan ratio could be near 10%, with roughly $3 trillion in hidden bad debt. Meanwhile, Japan's current account surplus reached a record 34.5 trillion yen, supported by strong semiconductor exports and overseas investment income. Elsewhere, the Bank of Canada held interest rates at 2.25%, while warning that prolonged energy shocks could require further tightening. S&P also revised Mexico's sovereign outlook to negative amid weaker growth, rising debt, and continued uncertainty surrounding Pemex and the USMCA review. And finally, the UAE announced plans to double its Hormuz bypass pipeline capacity to 3 million barrels per day by 2027 as Gulf states continue repositioning energy infrastructure amid heightened geopolitical risk. Now, turning quickly to the commodity and equities markets, oil markets moved sharply higher as supply disruptions linked to the Strait of Hormuz continued pressuring global energy flows. West Texas Intermediate crude rose 4.2% to $105.42 per barrel, while Brent crude climbed 3.35% to just above $100. OPEC basket prices surged by nearly 7% to $115 per barrel, with natural gas also posting gains. Meanwhile, global equity markets closed broadly lower on renewed inflation and geopolitical concerns. The Dow Jones fell 1.07%, the S&P 500 declined 1.24%, and the Nasdaq lost 1.54%. In Europe, Germany's DAX dropped more than 2%, while Japan's Nikkei fell nearly 2%, amid continued energy and growth concerns. Now that's it for your Global Pulse. I'm Joseph Cox, and this is CBR. Well, that's a wrap on episode 18, season 3 of the Caribbean Business Review. Now, thank you to our loyal audience across MKR Radio and all digital platforms for your continued support. As always, we stand by our mantra that knowledge is strength, but information is power. Our special thanks to Dr. Leakim Samaj, psychologist, founder of Samaj Mind Spa, who helped us break down the critical connection between psychological overload and economic stagnation, revealing why burnout isn't just a personal issue, but a national crisis. He explains how technological advancements like remote work highlight the paradox. They should enhance productivity, but seem to lower it instead, fueling a culture of overwork, burnout, and delayed systems. The strategic takeaways from the discussion are: 1. Burnout increasingly reflects systemic dysfunction rather than individual weakness. Persistent exhaustion across Caribbean workplaces is being driven by disorganization, bureaucratic inefficiency, economic insecurity, and cultural expectations surrounding overwork, creating hidden productivity and social costs. 2. Technology is accelerating connectivity rather than productivity. Digital integration and constant accessibility are eroding the boundaries between work and recovery, intensifying cognitive overload while failing to generate proportionate gains in labor productivity or institutional inefficiencies. And 3, sustainable resilience requires cultural and institutional reform. Improving productivity and workforce well-being will likely require leadership-driven reforms focused on accountability, workflow simplification, healthier organizational norms, and rebuilding trust in institutional systems. Ultimately, addressing these issues will require a renewed focus on streamlining workflows, reducing institutional inefficiencies,
Everybody sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hard
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio. Yes, and it's time for Workers' Time. This is where we spend time on Mondays looking at what is happening at the workplace. You know, very crucial. I have with me this afternoon the president of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, Stesha Griffiths. Yes, and we are going to be looking at what is happening at the workplace. Good evening, Madam President.
Dear listeners, and of course, so you know, I can't leave out my 30,000.
Yes, of course. Yes. I know there are many issues, but one major issue on the table, and I know a lot of your members must be waiting to hear what has happened to the wage talks with the government. So far, how has it been?
So there are two components to the wage talks. There is the claim that was submitted by the Jamaica Civil Service Association as our own sovereign union. As you know, we have submitted a claim on behalf of our members. Right. And then there's a second claim, which is the claim that is submitted by the Confederation of Trade Unions.
Yes.
By President St. Patrice Ennis, which is probably somebody you should have had on the call today.
Yes.
Because he is leading that negotiation.
I was trying to get him, but I didn't get him at all.
So I can tell you about my negotiations, and then I'll give a little summary on the JCTU negotiation. So the Jamaica Civil Service Association would have complied with the deadline for submission of claim in November of 2024. And we were anticipating that by March 31st, 2025, would have concluded negotiations so that the agreement would be incorporated in the budget for 25-26, which would have commenced in April of 2025. The same would have been for the Confederation. Now, the Confederation of Trade Unions consists of 12 unions, including the JTA and the JCSA, as well as UAW, NWU, and JALGO. So, you know, those are large unions that make up the composition mostly. And then the 12, you have UTAS, UKS, etc. Now, we came together as a body, and we realized, Desmond, that is important no more than ever for the union to mean unionize and to mean unity and oneness, because we have to come together as trade unions, because ultimately we are negotiating for the same workers, and all of us want the same outcome. Gone are the days when we are divided and we're doing this on our own individuality, but it's important for us now to bond together, and so we can get the best for the workers.
Right.
With that said, we would have submitted our claim as JCSA, the JCTU would have submitted theirs. Now, what we need to understand is that the JCTU's claim is a claim that consists of the negotiation for salary increase. Okay? So once the Confederation agree on an increase, then it usually applies across the board, including all the other unions external to the Confederation.
Yes.
So the government is speaking to the Confederation, and of course you'd have heard them talking about the JTA. They would have met with the JTA.
Yes.
Now the JCSA would have had one meeting so far, and that is a clarification meeting. What is important to note, Brother Desmond, is that the mileage for public officers' claim is incorporated in the JCSA. And you know that the road condition and the issues that arise as a result of the mileage rate, especially the GCT and concession. So officers are not happy as we speak. Now, we are still at the table with the government through the Confederation. So we are not yet agreed on the percentage of salary increase.
Yes.
Now, what is important to note is that the government would have offered 2% in year one, 2.5 in year 2,
yes,
2.5 in year 3, and 2.5 in year 4. Now, let's talk about this. The Confederation submitted a 2-year claim for 2025-2026 and 2026-2027. The counter offer from the government is a 4-year claim, goes right up to from 25, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28, 28, 29. So interestingly, 2.5 is consistent up to 2029, given the current situation and the increase in inflation. I know we can't expect the unions to accept that offer. Now, importantly, we have made a counter offer, which I will not disclose publicly yet because we are actively at the table, but just to say it is not 2%.
Well, I know I know the unions have rejected that.
We have rejected it.
Yes.
Yes, and if my members are listening, I want them to show that we are pushing for the best outcome. We have examined the fiscal policy paper that was tabled in Parliament, and there is a room for improvement on the offer that was placed on the table. Okay. So our counter offer was made, and we are waiting a response from the government of Jamaica to our claim.
All right.
Now, how long we will be waiting is really up to the Confederation, because I believe that the members have grown impatient and they have indicated that to us. There are 26 items of claim, and I believe we now need to move urgently because we are over a year in payment.
Yes.
This takes effect on April 1, 2025, which means that we are in our 14th month, and the workers should be paid retroactive payment from 2025 April to today.
Yes. So as we speak, we are still at the people are still at the unions are still at the negotiation table.
Right. Our last meeting was last week, Thursday, Wednesday.
When is
so we had back-to-back meetings.
When is it?
No, so at last week Wednesday's meeting, we made a counter offer. The ministry is to examine the figures and get back to us. We have not received a response yet, so I guess that they are trying to dissect what they have presented to us. They have given us some numbers. We have counter with our proposal, so I don't know if the numbers are challenging them or what, but we have not received a feedback just yet, so we are awaiting. And then, honestly, Desmond, it is important for us to understand that it is impacting the workers in a negative way, because even the concession, the GCT and concession has caused persons to be anxious, because that was as was indicated by the government, takes effect on the 1st of May.
Yeah.
And that talk still has not been concluded. So I want to also put that out there, that we are still not happy, and so this delay is now causing a further anxiety for the workers, and they are definitely feeling the pinch. Some have still not recovered from Hurricane Melissa, and they definitely are at a point now where they are not willing to wait any longer.
what I get from the underground, I get the impression that the workers are restive at the moment.
They are anxiety. Most of them are really restive. They want to close the door, and then they want to move on with their lives. And it is important to act quickly. We did indicate that to the ministry, so we are waiting. This week is Workers' Week.
Yes.
So I think if it is that they want to win with the workers, it would be best to grant the proposal that we put on the table in Workers' Week. We will be grateful.
Well, based on what has been offered so far, did you get any understanding from the talk so far that the government is willing to adjust its numbers? The government is willing to adjust that 2%. Have you got that any feeling, or have you got any indication from the negotiators that government is willing to adjust those numbers?
Well, put it this way. We are not, the numbers that we're proposing, we did not come up with them. It was found in their fiscal policy paper for wages and salaries. That's the same number we are using. So it's not a matter of whether they are willing to move. It's a matter of what they have approved in Parliament that we are using those figures.
Okay.
So the first place, I'm wondering why 2% was on the table in the first place. Because there was room in the budget that was approved for more increase.
Oh, no, I understand. So they just put the 2% out there. Apparently, they put the 2 as feelers, but they have.
I don't know what they do it for, but I'm saying that we are using the same document that was tabled to do our analysis, and it's on the document that was tabled by the government. There is room for improvement.
That sounds sounds better, because obviously what the workers are facing right now is that 2% can't cut it at all. I remember that a number of your workers, your members, they were victims of Melissa. How are they?
821.
Yeah, how are they?
821 of them. They have not gotten any support outside of the union. We have provided them. We have cancelled all our activities that were slated for 2025. And we have pumped all resources into assisting them to recover. It's not very significant, but it has gone a far way. They are quite appreciative. 821 of them were able to register for the assistance, and we have paid out over 700 so far. And we still have some way to go, but they are not where we wanted them to be. So yes, they are also suffering.
Of course, yes. And well, as you said, the Confederation, I should have the president to clarify some things here, but I don't have him yet today. But your claim that you have submitted so far, how has the government responded to your claim, the JCSA claim?
I have not gotten any movement on our claim. One thing for sure, though, is that in our claim we had flexi work arrangement, and they have started phase 1, which is a staggered work arrangement where persons can come in between the hours of 6:30 and 10 o'clock. So you have staggered hours where persons will not be caught up in the traffic, and they can come in at various hours so that they can reduce traffic congestion, as well as being able to deal with morning activities such as taking their children to school, etc. But by 10 o'clock, everybody should be in office, and there's also the provision for persons who are doing business outside of their ministries as individuals that can access services up to 7 p.m. in the evening, which is good. So we're trying to expand those. In phase 2, it will be the flexi work arrangement, and then what we want to move to is a compressed work week, which is a 4-day work week for public servants. And also we believe that there are mental health is taking a toll on a lot of our public servants, especially senior public servants, and I am advocating for mental health days for them as well.
Okay. Yes. That is very important. Very important.
Absolutely.
Now, what are the other? I know that there are many other issues apart from salaries. Tell us some of the other issues that your organization is working on.
We're working on occupational safety and health. A lot of the buildings and offices that are currently being occupied need some serious renovation, and the air quality is not good. And so what we find is a lot of members getting ill. Non-communicable diseases are part of the number 1 causes in Jamaica, and we recognize that some of these buildings are sick buildings. Asbestos, and since the hurricane, especially for those in the western end of the island.
Hold on for me there. Hold on for me. Oh, Mr. Ennis, who's this?
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Ennis. Mr. Ennis, you know, I was trying to get you. Hang up and let me call you back. Hang up and let me call you back. Hang up. Yes. Miss, hello? Hello, Miss Griffiths? Hello, Miss?
Yes, I'm on.
All right, hold on there, hold on. Let me try and get back Mr. Hennis. Hold it. Okay. All right. Good afternoon. I have with me the president of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, also Mr. Tesha Griffiths. Welcome, President. Yes. We're talking about the negotiations, but I'm glad you joined me because there are some update my audience what has happened so far in the wage negotiations.
Oh, I thought you said you had sick there, teacher.
Yes, I have. Yes, she's with me.
She is even more articulate than I am to update you.
Well,
to her.
Well, she has told me what has happened so far, but as the president of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, I know that you represent all the unions, and therefore I would like to hear from you.
Well, let me hastily add that we have a negotiating team. The president of the JCC is a member, so we negotiate jointly with respect to publics, along with some other team members. But we basically represent the entire public sector, as it is often the case that because we would combined, it tends to guide the proceedings. That is the negotiation in terms, mainly the universal claims. The universal claims, I mean the claims that affect everybody or almost everybody. And one such item would be like wages. So our position is consistent. We have put it in writing to the Ministry of Finance. We await their response. We believe that because the wage is the most expensive item, 1% of that item equates to approximately just over $4 billion. Other items would not affect everybody, doesn't have that universal aspect. And so we believe if we can treat with that or make clear advantages where it is concerned, then that would somehow make it a little easier, not easy, but prepare the path for us to reach some consensus on the other items if we can get the wage, which is the most expensive item, out of the way idea as to where we would end up. And so that has been the focus, not saying that it is the only thing it has the item that much of our efforts have been geared towards. And so we have made our counter to the government. We expect that to be done in short. As that was done, I just believe last week. So we eagerly anticipate what that response would be.
Yeah. But Ms. Griffiths told me a while ago that in the document approved by the cabinet, and which you people have copies of, in that document, the numbers approved there is much more than the 2%. So I'm wondering why the government or the negotiators advance the 2% wage offer when they approve higher numbers than that. You understand that?
Well, I can't tell you what is in their head. You probably would have to ask them. But it's indeed the case that we have looked at the documents, we have cited the documents that we are using to inform our position, which it is their document. And we don't know exactly why they're saying what they're saying. They'll have to tell us. But what we do know is that the situation is that they have fully announced figures, and we have underutilized what is proposed. And even when we make our presentation, we're not saying the documentation. And so we await those responses, which I expect not to be too long from now. But as to the response, the answer to your question, I would only speculate, and that I would not wish to do.
Yeah. The the start of the negotiations, there was some release that the government had approved. Some what I heard a release which I was confused a little because I knew that the government had approved. There was I'm trying to remember what it was now. Something that the government arbitrarily took away from the public servants, a benefit that they restored. But then it came a release I heard on the news when negotiations started.
Increments.
Yeah, the increments, yes. My understanding was the increment was approved from last year. Am I right? The former Minister of Finance had cleared the way for that.
So the increment was restored because we thought it was not handled in a way that was consistent with what exists in the public sector, and the payment would have been made last May, and would have ended March 2025. Now we have restored the increment in its normal capacity, where persons would have completed a year and then be evaluated and paid their increment. Such increment is restored as was customary before the compensation. So that is something that we had fought for and we got back, which is the trade union movement. However, that's just one aspect of it. We still are working on a salary and wage increase for our members.
Yes, I understand that the increment is clear, is separate and apart from the wages. No, but what as I said, I know that it was cleared and it was supposed to have passed through. But when I heard the release as if it was a fresh item, and then I am asked myself, but no, I know that that's not a fresh item at all. It was something that the workers, the unions have already spoke with the ministry, and they have agreed on that. So
we'd agreed on it, but there was no definitive answer as to the return, the continuation of it. So that was what was released last 2 weeks ago. Because remember, when the 3 payment of increments ended on March 31st, 2025, there was no subsequent release from the ministry for it to continue beyond that. So we had asked for that to be placed, returned, so that persons can be assessed and receive their increment in keeping with the staff orders.
Okay. All right. So we are in Workers' Week. So as both of you indicated that you are waiting on the ministry with a response. So we are waiting to see what will happen. Workers' Week. You have anything you want? You want to tell us anything about Workers' Week, Mr. President?
Well, indeed, Workers' Week has commenced. We started off with a church service in Montego Bay.
Yes.
So our members were there present. There will be reflaying this week. I am asking publicly that we be represented in the public gathering in St. Anne this week. Sister Teacher Clark would be laying wreaths at this week also, and we. Well, this has been a busy week because the ILO has been here. I mean, last week, and we have been doing National Employment Plan, Decent Work Agenda, and so on. So it has been a busy week. So there are a number of activities. I think I've sent you the schedule with respect to what awaits us. But Restream was this morning also for Hugh Shearer, and we have also the IDT having a forum or session this week. This is Wednesday. So a number of activities are planned for the week as we go along.
All right. Well, I want to thank...
Maybe Titch can tell you some of the others, if I recall. And I think it's Aggie Bernard.
Yes, I'm laying for Aggie Bernard at the Aggie Bernard statue downtown Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. Well, okay, I want to thank both of you for your time this afternoon. And we will, as you said, we are waiting to see what the ministry and the ministry's response to your application. I want to thank both of you this evening. And
thank you very much.
Good evening. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. Bye, St. Patrice. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Yes, that was St. Patrice Ennis, president of the JCTU, and Tisha Griffiths of the Jamaica the Jamaica Civil Service Association. Let us take a break. This is Rebel Radio.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, bin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagelberg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with your super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring and more. At Tools, hardware and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio. We continue on the workers' time. And I have with me Professor Herbert Devonish from the WIGOT. And he's going to tell us now, they keep us abreast of what is happening with wage talks for the university workers and the government. Good evening, Professor.
Good evening. Right, thanks for having me. Yes. Well, the update is, right, that they just to refresh the memories of your members, we know 3 unions at UWI had 2 years ago said made it clear that we are members of the public service and we are paid out of the public purse, so you can't have compensation review for the government service, and you ignore us. Mm-hmm. And so they initiated a compensation review process for UWI in Jamaica, and that was going to affect both the UAW support staff, MONATS, which was the technical and technical and administrative people, and then the WIGOT Jamaica, which was the academic, senior administrative and professional staff, the 3 categories. So they contracted, the government of Jamaica paid $1 million US and contracted the Ernst & Young to do a compensation review for UWI for the 3 categories. There was a series of meetings and so on with the compensation review team, and the unions between about October of 2024 and around June of 2025. And in that time, a report came out, which generally are sought to align the other two categories with the government sector to introduce new salary bands for them and so on. But in the case of the WIGOT category, we had always argued that we weren't really and aren't really equivalent to the local market, but in fact to a regional and international market. The EY team did go through a process of assessing what the local, regional, and international market was, but what they did was very, very flawed. But we had always said we don't have a local market because we are the lead institution in Jamaica, and in fact, UTEC is pegged to us at 80%. So you couldn't possibly look to UTEC as a comparator for UWI because they already, by definition, are 20% less than us. But they, nevertheless, the Ernst & Young people did include UTEC as a comparator, as a local comparator. They also included institutions in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, and we said again, those are not our regional market. Our regional market is the other campuses of UWI. And then then in terms of the international calculations and so on, they made they didn't include state pension benefits, very, very generous state pension benefits and so on that accrue to people in the UK and the US, and employer contributions to those pension benefits, which we at a level which we don't have. And so in the end, when they made their comparisons, it turns out that they were claiming that we were already on par with the regional and international market, and we said, no, that is not the case. And so we've been pushing back on this idea that because basically the position of the government of Jamaica, they're very happy that they don't have to pay us anything more, because we, meaning the WIGOT category, the academic, senior, administrative, and professional staff, make up probably about 90% of the pay bill, or at least 70%, of the pay bill of UWI. So of the 70% of the salary or wages expenditure of UWI. So to be told that they need to pay us very little is not something that they're very happy. The other thing was that the EY report wanted to put us now in salary bands that align with the government sector. Now, our plan to introduce job description criteria which are associated with the government sector, and we say, we are a regional institution, and these matters are dealt with regionally, and you can't, at a local level, impose something which decouples us from the other sections of UWI. These matters that you want to change, that anybody might want to change, have to go to the regional level. So, against that background now, we have argued that the changes in terms of how you want the scales to look and whether you want to have bands rather than salary scales and so on, that's regional, that is not local. The three unions at UWI negotiate that stuff with the university at the regional level. What is local is the salary issue. And we are arguing that our calculations, because we did parallel calculations to EY, and we pointed out EY's errors and Ernst & Young's errors as we were going along, and we documented it. But our calculations would say that the professors are the top people who are the professors would get a 20% increase. And people like lecturers and so on at the bottom would get a 70% increase. when we look at the international and regional comparators. And that's our negotiating position. We have a parallel negotiating position which says, look, if you don't want to go that route, there's an alternative one, which is that you are increasing the bottommost categories by approximately about 59%. Right, the bottommost pay grade is getting 59%, and we are saying if you don't want to go the route of international comparators, then we are happy for you to maintain the differential between top and bottom, meaning that if your bottom moves by 59%, then everybody in our category will move by 59% and maintain the differential between us and the less paid workers at UWR. So whichever way they want to go, we are negotiating on both fronts. We are due to meet with the university, but most importantly, a representative or representatives of the Ministry of Finance on Thursday of this week, where we will present our case as to why the EY report needs to be corrected and why different numbers need to be assigned to the salary increases for ourselves. So that's where we are at right now. The two key points: our members are very restless because, of course, cost of living galloping away, particularly since the Iran war. The members are very, very concerned about the erosion of the purchasing power of their salaries, etc., etc. And so we both need a significant salary increase and a quick one. And the other thing is that the government is putting an offer to make any back pay retroactive to 2024. All the unions say, no, it has to be 2022, because that's when the public sector compensation review kicked in, and had you treated us properly, you would have dealt with us in 2022. So that's a position that all the unions are holding. So that's where we are. We've had one or two threats of unrest, etc., on the campus, but the government, finally the university has come back to us, and we're meeting Thursday, so let's see what happens then.
Right. In the meantime, I know you know all the details, but your colleagues in Barbados, Guyana, and Trinidad, they are not having any salary issues like you people in Jamaica.
Trinidad had a salary increase, I think about a year ago. It had some, if I recall correctly, some level of unrest, and they've gotten a salary increase. I don't know that Caville, as in Barbados. It's not clear to me what happened in Caville, right? But I know Trinidad got a movement in salary, and they had some unrest.
Yes. Now, locally, I know some issues. I don't know if they still exist. For example, the government of Jamaica is supposed to, like the governments of the region, is supposed to pay money to maintain the university. Now, I know that some years ago they were in the red. Do you know if that has been cleared up?
No, what the government of Jamaica has done, and other governments have gone down the road, is that instead of paying using the formula that says you pay, it's on paper 80% of each student, but it's less than that. It actually works at about 60%, or thereabouts, for each student. They have a formula that they are supposed to pay per student. And the Jamaican government first, and then later on, other governments have gone the route of giving a block vote that has no relationship to the number of students from the country that are at the university. And that put the university in a situation where I think right now, there's a huge shortfall because they've got to raise money by all kinds of income generating and other activities, etc., etc. And I think the government contribution is close enough to now 40%, when it really was on paper supposed to be 80%, because the students pay 20% fees, right? Where's the rest of the money coming from? The rest of the money would normally come from the government. Even give or take that the university will do some income generating and so on, stuff like that. The formula does not. The governments are paying short by at least 20, if not more percent, right? And the result is that the university, even with trying to raise income and do savings and so on, there's a huge hole in the budget, and the campus, the Mona campus and the UWI in Jamaica is running, is in trouble. Right. So that, for example, the global campus in Jamaica, even from a month-to-month basis, they can salaries. I know that at the university center, this vice chancellor's office, they struggle to pay their salaries as well. It may not be that bad at the Mona campus, but the Mona campus, to pay salaries is that have to run down the plant. If you go certain parts of campus, you see the state of the roads, at the state of the buildings, that's all because sufficient funds, the government's agreed to a formula, and they're paying well short of that formula, and the campus is suffering. So that in this wage negotiation, it is clear that the university can't pay these salary increases. It's going to have to be a commitment from the government. And that's why the government is centrally involved in this whole process, because the campus can't even survive on right now paying us the low salaries. So clearly it is going to have to be a commitment from the government. And so we're trying to make sure that the government is a central part of the agreement that is eventually signed.
So it is correct to say then, Professor, that university is in financial crisis?
Well, yes, they tell us so. And they're constantly telling us that, and what they do, the last thing that the Mona campus trying to do is to take away pension benefits, a pension, post-retirement and health benefits from new employees of UWI. So what they want to do is that currently they pay for pension. They currently do 10% of salary as a contribution to pension. The member does 5%. They wanted for new employees to reduce their contribution from 10 to 5. He said no, right? They also they currently contribute for the health. 80% of the health insurance does, the member does 20. They wanted to reduce it to 50. We said no. They were going to bully their way through. We took industrial action last year this time. It ended up at the Ministry of Labor. And that's where it's at this particular point. So they are trying to deal with the shortfall by doing what employers always do. When they don't have money, they squeeze the workers. And this is what happens. So that particular issue is with the Ministry of Labor right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So they are in crisis, but the way they're handling the crisis is by kicking us. Other than trying to work to press the government of Jamaica to do the right thing and to pay its right share, our rightful share, as agreed between the government, rather than the block vote, which leaves the campus constantly in deficit.
Yes. And I would imagine, Professor, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this must be having a negative impact on the delivery of services by the university. And I'm talking about how is this shortfall, how is it impact the delivery of education to students?
Well, one of the obvious things that I know about is the state of the maintenance of the buildings. Now, all over the place is mold, right? I hear about reports of mold over regional headquarters. I know of mold in the Faculty of Humanities. As just two examples off the top of my head, is constant. The building maintenance and affect both on the health of both the students and the staff members, because with the buildings old, poorly maintained, and requiring refurbishing, right? But you can't do it, or they can't do it because there's not enough money. Two things happened. I know in humanities what it meant this year was that there was a classroom shortage, right? Which of course obviously affects delivery, right? And then of course the academics have a health and safety problem because the offices that they are in are moldy, musty, and problematic, right? And that therefore means that people have to share offices where they would not normally have to do so. And there's all this confusion, or there were some issues, based on what my colleagues told me, of classroom availability, etc., etc. That's just a simple, obvious example of the effect that the shortage of money has had on education. And of course, you're finding, or you're beginning to find, that because of the rise in public sector salaries, particularly in the Faculty of Medical Sciences, there is a move. People are leaving the sciences to go into the government service because they get paid much more there. And so I know last year there was a slew of resignations because people can go into the government service and earn more money than they can earn UWI. So that's affected, for sure, medical sciences. And I'm assured generally, and I know that even for the subsection of medical sciences, nursing education, the people in USL, the School of Nursing, I think it is affecting them too. I know there's also an issue with medical technologists. Again, medical sciences, where the medical techs in the government sector are working for way more than those at UWI. So if they don't solve this problem now, we're going to find ourselves by next year in an even worse situation. So yes, money is a problem all over, and we're trying to get the authorities to move quickly to resolve the matter.
Well. It doesn't sound good for the University of the West Indies at all. It doesn't. Are you certain that the university can't do more to earn some more money for itself?
I mean, there's always room for improvement, obviously, but the university has done quite a bit, because right now their cogeneration plant, the electricity cogeneration plant, means they don't pay like the JPSCO anymore, as far as I know. They also have they also dug their own wells, so their water supplies is self-provided. But all of that had to be done by taking loans, which you have to service. Yes. So the point is that yes, you're saving money, but these are part of a process of helping yourself. And we're now in an age where any new program pretty much that comes up has to be an income-generating program. But here's the problem. If you now, as I believe has happened now, medical sciences up to a few years ago, they used to have 60 or so places, so very bright people, the best people, who would come in with a government subsidy. You would just pay the 20%, which was I think 1 million or some money and change Jamaican back in the day, right? Now, every person coming in has to pay, I think it's 25,000 US a year. So what that is meaning is that in order to pay the bills, you now have a situation where the only people who can afford to become medical doctors now are already rich or well-off people. So do we want a culture in a society where all the doctors that you're going to meet are people whose parents could find $28,000 a year? I don't think so. Now they'll tell you about student loan, etc., etc. How many people you know have the kind of ability to have guarantors who could guarantee a 28 US a year loan for 5 years, right? So you are pricing education in order to fulfill. What is happening is that the government of Jamaica is transferring the cost of education from the public purse to the private sector. But of course, what happens in the private sector is that the people with the most money can buy, and those who don't have the money can't. We then end up now with a situation where the social mobility that education used to provide once upon a time through the public purse is diminishing, it's reducing, because now the only people who can move are the people who have money. Wow. And so we are now, but that comes from the fact that if you higher education a commodity that you're going to sell, then you're going to sell it to the highest bidder. Who is the highest bidder? The well-off. Yes. Doing that higher education was actually the means by which, from the Prime Minister down, the poor can access a better life. We are now knocking that ladder down, saying that this can't afford to provide that subsidy anymore. It must be carried to the private market, and the effect of that is that you are now creating a situation where you are limiting or stopping social mobility.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Right. So the moment you say, should we fund ourselves? Where's the money coming from? You have to sell education. Who is going to buy education? Oh, the people who have money. Because the people who don't have money can't.
And therefore they're going to be left out.
Behind. Right? So again, there's no way around the principle that higher education must be heavily subsidized by the state.
Yes.
And that we have to find creative ways of funding higher education, but the principle cannot be that the highest bidder pays.
Yes, sir.
Because, right? Or at least yeah, go ahead.
No, that is something serious. That is something we have to talk about somewhere. We have to put that. We have to get that. We have to get some action going on that, because we cannot return to the old days when only the rich and powerful could go up the ladder. We don't want to return to those days at all. Yes. We have to do something about it. But we have exhausted our time this evening.
Okay then, right. So we will talk again.
We'll talk again, and I want to thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thanks again, Mr. Richards, and we're looking forward to having another conversation with you. Okay. All right?
Okay. That was
bye-bye.
That was Professor Herbert Devonish there. He's keeping us abreast of what is happening in education, higher education. You heard that we are going back to the days when only the rich can afford. Let us take a break here at Rebel Radio.
Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleypark Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tool Tools, hardware and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring and more. At Tools, hardware and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
During the Frankly Speaking show. On your computer, look to the right of the video. That's your live chat hub. Click the Say Something box at the bottom and hit enter. Boom, you're live. On the mobile app, it's just as easy. Tap the live chat button right under the video to open the window. Pro tip, if you're in full screen mode, tap the screen once and hit the chat icon to see messages without leaving the action. Can't type? Check 2 things. Make sure you're signed in and see if subscribers only mode is on. You might need to sub and wait a few minutes. Keep it respectful, follow the mod's rules, and have fun.
Good day. Good day. The past week was full of news. There was the Auditor General's report on the shameful failure to distribute Hurricane Melissa donations. Then there was quite a bit of focus on what is happening in Accompong Town, St. Elizabeth. The conduct of nominations and the ignoring of a Supreme Court injunction raised the issue again of sovereignty, or at least of governance, of that Maroon community. We expect to have 2 former colonels who between them served as leader for more than 20 years, Murdy Rowe and Ferron Williams. We'll talk to them about what's happening in Accompong Town and their views on the election process that was set for this week. We made several efforts to reach Richard Curry, but without success. Welcome to you all, and thank you for joining us on this episode 210 of the Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast. With me on the program are our regular panelists, Vinnie Anderson Brown and Desmond Richards. We invite you to send your questions and comments by following the procedures outlined earlier, or just by attaching to the comment section on the channel, whether you are using your cell phone or laptop. Remember to like and share the podcast and subscribe to the channel. So, who do we have? We want to welcome Murdy Rowe and Ferron Williams. Do we have both of them, or we have Mr. Williams? Mr. Williams?
I'm here.
Mr. Rowe is welcome. So it's Mr. and Murdy Rowe and there. Gentlemen, let's start with you, Mr. Williams. What is going on with regard to Accompong and these procedures that have been set in place, which I gather you're opposed to? What's going on, sir? Mr. Williams, you hearing me?
Mr. Williams.
That look like why say like Mr. Rowe.
Mr. Rowe is there,
Mr.
and there's
Rowe.
Mr. Newman as well.
Okay,
Mr. Newman and Mr. Rowe.
Mr. Newman.
Hi, how you do, Franklin?
All right, good. I want to get to Mr. Rowe first. So, Mr. Murdy Rowe, are you hearing us? I'm seeing you now. Are you hearing us, Mr. Rowe?
Yeah, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Good, good. Well, thank you very much. So tell us what's happening. What's happening in Accompong Town?
What's happening? Let me say the first thing clear
Yes.
first is that Colonel Curry, they duck and hide from the from the bailiff man who's supposed to serve him the court document.
So
Friday.
the injunction, it was not served on him?
Injunction. He got one on an email and he run from the practical one that would serve him personally. He will advise and he take the back road, go over to Hilltop and go through Kinder, Guinea Grass. Kinder is where you have this fresh prepare the fresh pork on January 6th and go middle ground, go hide from the bailiff Friday.
But for those people who don't know those people who don't know all the procedures, you had gone to court, or your attorneys anyway, had gone to court to get an injunction to stop him from, and to stop them. He says it's
I'm doing the nomination, yeah.
Yes. What was the reason why you were wanting to stop that process?
Oh, yes, the whole bunch of mess created by Colonel Curry. His terms of office would have expired on February 18th. And we as prospective candidate wasn't informed. So on the 29th of January, I prepare a written draft, take it to a compound, give his lieutenant, Demani Lennon, aka Popeye, to give him. And from that document, he would allude to the fact that his term will be expiring on February 18th. Hence, he will be duty bound to inform all the prospective candidates, that is myself, Mary DeRoe, Ferran Williams, Cadian Wallace, Colin Palmer, and Andrew Rowe, to take the necessary step to inform us, because when the preparation is being made to do the numeration exercise, among other things, we have to be informed so that we can get our scrutineers in place and alerted and things like that. And they ignore it. I tell him that all the mainstream media and all social media platforms, he should take steps to inform us through that medium. And he ignore it. He ignore it. And I'm not surprised he ignore it, because what he come with is that he have a constitution where come from God never knows. Because the last election that held in a compound in 2021, at the time when he beat Ferran Williams in the election, no such thing was in place. The Electoral Office of Jamaica assist us through the process. They facilitate us to locations where numeration need to be done, like Kingston and Mobile Electoral Office. We use their facilities and so forth. And the preparing of the ballot box, the ballot papers and things, Electoral Office, and they provide presiding officers and poll clerks who are independent from any of us as candidates. And support the election was held. Fortunately, he won that election. Now, we were surprised when we heard that he dropped a constitution without our knowledge. And what we have learned from is that if we don't live in the community for at least the last 3 years, we can't run in the next election. That's what he does, and that is clearly contrary to the practice, to the custom, to the tradition, and things like that. I don't know if it is clearly out of ignorance times arrogance, because he never born there, he never grew there, he never go to school there, and he never lived there either. So in the first place, he would not have been qualified to contest the election. But Colonel Williams was in close to a nephew of his, an uncle of his. So little sympathy extended there. Because his own supporters locked Colonel Williams out of the office, out of the colonel office. And when visitors come to a compound and to be registered and paid a fee to be taken and guided historical tour and locations, those fees collected by people who are associated with Richard Curry. And from my understanding, over 2 million. Yeah.
Mr. Rowe, let me ask you something. Mr. Rowe, let me ask you something. You served as colonel from when to when?
5 years, from 93 to 98.
Are you hearing me?
From 1993 to 1998.
Do you think yourself responsible for not having the...
After my term,
Yeah,
after
man,
my tenure.
I heard you. I'm asking you if you make a point.
Franklin.
No, man,
you're not hearing me. I'm saying, if you had put in the proper structures and so forth, nobody could mess with the executive powers. Nobody could mess with the constitution, etc. That you are now claiming that everything was going pretty bad. Would you agree with that?
5 years could not have done it. 5 years could not have done it. 1 term could not have done it. There are multiplicity of things that needed to be done because there was no water in the first place. Of the many things, no water was in the community in the first place. And it takes time, it takes resources, it takes tact and everything to get external help. Even for the Jamaica government, whenever there was a member of parliament, to get water in it. Among other things. The trade center and things like that. And so, well, 2 other colonels came after me. Colonel Petty and Williams. Collectively.
Yes. We're still trying to reach Mr. Williams because Mr. Williams said he would be here with us. So we're still trying to reach him. Producers still trying to reach him. But so you and Mr. Rowe, why do you... Go ahead.
Colonel Williams done 12 years.
Go ahead.
After me, and Petty done 11 years after me.
Yes, I know.
And there was no water, among other things, in the community. And things like that. So it would have been extremely difficult. I did the other project that was that people could have an income, have a skill, and support, like a 200-acre for banana project to be done by 80 farmers. And a trade school there to learn some basic skills in mason carpentry, and support. So the bottom line is...
What you said to the Jamaicans now to say all of this is foolishness because you all are just one set of Jamaicans. You know, there's no sovereignty for a compound. There's no need for any structures of outside of just being a part of like any other little community. How do you respond? And what's your position on the sovereignty, which Mr. Curry has taken up very strongly?
Ask them if the Vatican is a state within a state in Italy. Ask them if they have sovereignty. Is a state within a state. The Vatican. The average Jamaican are ignorant about that, really. They don't know. We have a substantive outstanding treaty signed in 1738 that give Captain Kojo or any captain succeeding him full power to inflict even punishment committed by themselves among themselves. And that only is accepted, except in which case, if Captain Kojo think they deserve that, he shall be obliged to hand over such maroon personnel to any justice of the peace out there who would inquire into his trial, equal to any other Negro on this island. So we have level of sovereignty, but it is being destroyed now. It is being destroyed now. Because we run our elections and things like that based on custom, traditions, and culture and practices and things like that. And that is being eroded in a serious way now. To the point where the leaders in the Richard Curry administration, including himself, they are not Maroons. They are not Maroons.
Colonel.
So they overnight draft a constitution overnight. Without our knowledge, we don't know anything about it. Electoral office assists us.
Colonel Curry.
Yeah.
Colonel Curry, I want to ask you a question. You said a compound is a sovereign nation. A compound town is a sovereign nation. Sir?
Let me answer it this way.
Yes.
The Supreme Court of Jamaica is the highest court in the land. We don't have a court in the first place. The Supreme Court is the highest office in the land. And anybody shrinking can be brought into
as a sovereign nation, what do you have to prove your sovereignty? You have health, you have hospitals
Jamaica lacking in some of these things too. Jamaica generally lacking in some of these things. We can't manage COVID. We can't manage hurricane.
I am not asking you what Jamaica is lacking in. I'm not asking you what a
That's not let him
does.
answer. There's a delay, so that's why you might get a little mixed up.
Yes. Tell me.
There's a delay, yes, man. So you have to give him a little time.
What a Compong have to prove its sovereignty?
What Jamaica has to prove its sovereignty?
Jamaica is a nation.
The Maroon is a nation of people too. They get independence from Britain in 1962. We get a outstanding treaty from 1738. And a treaty is an agreement between two states. A treaty is an agreement between two states.
Hold on. You went to the Supreme Court of Jamaica this week to get an injunction. Why did you do that? Where's your court? Where are your judges?
And my dear friend, and when you are tried in the Jamaican court and you are not in agreement with the finding, where is your final court? All the way in England. Privy Council in England. Jamaica is not sovereign now.
Yeah, so I am asked, where is your court? But where is your court?
Huh?
Where's your security forces? Where? Do you present a budget? Do you have a budget for your people in a compound? Do you present a budget every year? Or what time?
Not me at nearly 30 years now I'm out of office. Not me.
When you were colonel, you said you were colonel for 5 years.
Yeah.
Do you have a government? You had a government there in a compound? How many schools are in a compound? How many schools are in a compound where children get their education?
The school is our school. It's never built by Jamaican government. It's our school. We get a donation from the Canadian government.
How many schools are in a compound where the children get their education? How many?
I know of 2.
Yeah. And where the teachers, who pay the teachers?
The government use the Maroon money that collect from taxes of Maroon treaty lands and pay teachers.
Mr. Rowe, why were you going back after this 20-odd years? Why were you hoping to go back to contest and hopefully to become chief or colonel?
Is the best question asked up to now. That is the best one asked. Best one asked. Because it's pure mess, it's pure corruption. The tradition, the custom, all of this is being destroyed by the present leadership of a campung. All of it is being destroyed. And we operate this place based on, we operate the Maroon thing based on custom and tradition. All of that is being destroyed now. Electoral office do elections and we never have to talk. There were no question about constitution mentioned for that. The electoral office of Jamaica proceed based on the rules governing the electoral office of Jamaica and run election. And that is the same election that Richard Curry contested to and win. And win. So that's a foregone conclusion. So the bottom line now is to deal with what is happening in the community. There are about 4 or 5 murders committed in the Maroon community, including the police there, under this colonial regime, under his regime. The police in Jamaica, they are aware. They are aware of nothing. Right now, you have some people up there in the compound, scared. They're afraid to talk. They're afraid to talk. They'll be labeled and ridiculed. And they might have a violent confrontation too. If they speak out, they just can't. They ever sent to see me with me at 2 different things, my friend. So you live in St. Kingston or St. Mary or Montego Bay or Magati. And if you don't know what is happening, you think that things is easy. But it is not so. The community is virtually tense. Only those people who closely knit to Curry, they are the bad men. They're the bad men. If the police wish to intervene, them can tell you that they get that story a number of times. A number of times. So
Mr. Rose, some reports suggest that Mr. Curry is now duly elected for another term. How do you see that, and what do you intend to do about where the process is now? Because he was the only one nominated on Friday. Nomination went ahead. He was the only one nominated on Friday.
He's not re-elected, no. He claimed that nomination day would have been the 15th of this month, and election day will be on the 22nd. So he's not re-elected. You have to wait until the 22nd of May comes before we talk about re-election.
All right, but even if we take it technically like that, he's the only one nominated, so there's nobody else who can run against him.
But in 1993, sir, you're a young boy. In 1983, when the then government under Edward Saga called a snap election, he said he take nomination day and election day. And the PNP never nominate anybody. So he never become a government until when election day come. Then they declare, then they automatically winner when election day come. Election day don't come in respect of hours. So it's not late. But albeit, if he claims he didn't get the affidavit.
What do you expect to do? Yeah.
Well, the matter is before the Supreme Court. And
what do you expect to do now? What do you expect to do now?
Well, we intend to consult our lawyer tomorrow for further advice.
Okay.
We would never go beyond a lawyer because they'll be in a better position to advise us than we take decision arbitrarily. We don't want to call on the wrong side of the law.
It looks as things are now, though, that Mr. Curry is going to be in charge of the compound town around for another term. It looks so.
The injunction has two phases. One, to prevent him from nominate, and the other is to attend a hearing at the Supreme Court, which is sometime next month. It's a 28-day injunction. So as far as I know, that document is not, it can still be served. The only difference is that he cannot be cited for contempt of court if he never get the document. But he will subsequently get it. So he will still have to come to court next month. Still have to come to court next month. Mr. Newman is
still with us, or is he gone? Mr. Newman dropped off?
Yeah, I'm not seeing him. I don't know. I'm not seeing him.
So Mr. Rowe. Go ahead, Desmond.
No, Mr. Rowe. What do you know what is happening? Do you know what is happening on the ground in a compound now?
No, because I'm not in a compound. I went to church in St. James. So I don't know what is happening.
Yes.
So I don't want to.
When last have you been to a compound?
Every so often. I am scared now. I'm scared right now to go there because some gangs up there associated with Curry. Gangs up there now. We don't have police. We don't have Jamaican police force there. So we are fearful that we will be hurt physically. At the point they kill, they chop up a man next door there. People who are associated with Curry. In supporter.
If you can't visit the place and you don't feel basically comfortable, how are you going to run to rule or to administer the area?
Do you think when election is in the air, any member of parliament anywhere in Jamaica can go about doing his political work without the police with them? No, they can't.
So
It
you
is
want
very risky.
Then where is your
yeah, man, people can do that, but you want support of the Jamaican police.
Yes, we must work with them. We don't have established police force for ourselves. Only currently have a so-called security team. And
you're a sovereign nation and don't have a police force.
Do you think every country, how the churches are run and they have no security at their churches?
The churches don't require security. You are calling for security.
What?
I am sorry, the church is not sovereign. The church is a part of a country. No church is sovereign, a sovereign nation. So the comparison really is off.
No, ma'am. I beg to differ. They're sovereign under God laws. It's sovereign, not under man-made laws.
Oh, I understand. How you interpret sovereign is a challenge. The meaning that you put to sovereign, that is where the challenge is. Okay. So that is where the debate should begin. What does sovereign mean to you?
Well, that sovereign meaning should put to Richard Curry because
I can't put it to him. I'm putting it to you on the program now. I can't go to him to ask him that. You are talking about sovereignty, so I'm asking you respectfully, what does being sovereign mean to you? Respectfully.
Well, that is a word that I not practice to use enough because there's a degree, there's a degree in how one interprets certain word, or they define, or it is defined, and things like that. Because we have been in existence for nearly soon 300 years, and we never have a police force, and we never have in these murder, this violence. People are burned down house and kill people, like what happening up there over the last 5 years. We never used to have it, so there was no need. There was no need for a police force. The necessity never arises for that.
I am sorry, I'm not asking about the force. I just want to find out what sovereign means to you so that I'm better able to understand why you say that
sovereign means that we could run our affairs without the need for external forces to help us in terms of security.
Oh, only security you're thinking of in that regard.
Primarily because the most of the treaty lands are under taxation. 99% of the treaty lands are under taxation right now.
Okay, so the challenge is most of us see sovereign in a broader sense than the way you look at it. So therein lies the challenge. Yes.
Yeah, because I never go to any school at all. So you people would have enough seat in a better, broader way than I.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we are glad to have you, sir. We can't get Mr. Ferron, Mr. Williams. What Mr. You say that tomorrow, what is it say, Monday, you will be talking to your attorneys to determine
where we go from here.
Any further to go with your efforts to be elected or to at least contest election. Is that correct?
But that's
sir?
right.
Can you say it again, please?
The lawyer will determine that, give you best advice.
Right.
And so,
but you're still hopeful.
I'm still hopeful because it's not the end of the day. It's not the end of the day. As yet, the end of the day is when the date for the Supreme Court comes up. And it is not too late to serve him that document either.
I don't know.
As far as I know, it is not too late to serve him that document.
All right.
The difference is...
I want to take this comment before he goes, Franklin. It says sovereignty is a big word that means independence. It is the right of a country or group to make its own choices, create its own laws and govern its own land without taking orders from outsiders.
With due respect to the principles of democracy, which include accountability and transparency, all those are companion issues to deal with sovereignty, you know. Because remember, Jamaica is not a totalitarian state, but a compound. Tony said in clearly a totalitarian situation. When I talk no dog bark, that's what is happening now. And my way or the highway. That's what is happening right now. So in the absence of independent police was for ourselves now to deal with it. Because Jamaican police wouldn't arbitrarily come in like that without their advice by the government of the day. They would normally come in as it has. But if somebody should commit a serious crime, feloniously injured somebody, the police would oblige to come, because from time to time, police will charge people up there if they commit themselves. They commit themselves. So
well, we do need in this state some way of a full discussion about your attempts in a compound to have a level of sovereignty, exercise a level of sovereignty. What is that supposed to be about?
Right.
You know, what the treaty means or meant. There's that, because it comes up all the time, you know. And I think part of Mr. Curry's public persona is that he's championing that and putting some people at ease and some making some uneasy. You know, Mr. Rose. So it's something
why him duck the document Friday? Why him duck it? He run go hide. The document for Supreme Court.
I don't know anything at all about that.
Yeah, so I'm saying that
I don't know anything at all about that.
I know you would know really, so I'm just alluding you to the fact.
There's another comment that I should read by Leon Bailey 7350. He says, I don't see this maroon thing as one bunch of garbage. I think the title maroon was given to a group of people who fought for whatever there was, but had it been that any nation was born a maroon, that's...
Yes, because I've seen some documentation, Mr. Rowe, just before you go, as we're going to bring this session to them, but I've seen some documentation that suggests that one can be born a maroon, claim maroon heritage, or be considered to be a maroon by living. Well, you tell us how does the status maroon come to be associated with anyone?
You see, this system calls us maroon now, but really the fact is that during slavery, people from more than one state in Africa came to Jamaica on the slave trip. Different tribe, really, not only one tribe, a different tribe. And you have your Ashanti tribe, for example, you have your Caramanti at another, and what have you, on the plantation. And we had to run away from the plantation. The British see the need that we must be on it, because Jamaica is a tropical country, and we have to produce a stable crop that Canada and America, for example, could not grow because of the climatic situation and what have you. So they bent on hunting us anywhere to get us back on the plantation. Others had the opportunity to run from the plantation and never run. So we was brave and we run, guided by our ancestors' spirit, and we run and we put up a resistance against the colonial forces. Then
you're going back a lot in the history, man. We want to know how you get to become a maroon today.
So, according to the form and tenure of the treaty, we who are called maroons then would reside within the bounds of the maroons.
Okay.
And even Marcus Garvey is a maroon, and Jamaican don't even know that they are maroon. Heroes their service keep every year, neither PNP nor JLP. Not one of them said that Marcus Garvey a Maroon. Not one of them said it. And he's a Maroon.
Tell us how you identify or one determines one's Maroon heritage now.
So as I was saying, we were locked off from those who willfully refused to leave the plantation. They were seen otherwise. So those who run were accepted in the manifold. And the word Maroon is a name, we didn't get it from Africa. Is the place that term Maroon. We were seen as niggers, so to speak. And if the Maroon people were reside within the boundary of Maroon, they would be referred to as the Maroon people. They resist slavery and they were by themselves, not emerge in the wider Jamaica. Because the Spaniards bring people here to,
All right, okay.
So,
I'm not getting the
it takes some time to explain it.
Explain.
It couldn't go in 2 words or 3 words.
Yeah, man, it's okay.
But you might be a Maroon, I don't know.
Maybe. Mr.
Yes.
Rowe, I appreciate the time you spent with us, sir. Really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen this week coming. My sense of it, though, is that the ship has already sailed.
Yeah, between now and next month. Not now and next week. Now and next month.
Okay.
When a virtual date is set for our appearance.
In the court. Okay.
Yeah, and
thank you.
I hope Mr. Curry will appear too. I hope he will appear kind of duck now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
That time he can run up him out.
Okay. All right. We appreciate it, sir. We appreciate it.
All the best to you, Mr. Rowe. All the best.
I reciprocate.
Okay. Take care. Good.
Mr. Murdy Rowe, former colonel, 1993 to 98. Desmond, you obviously not broken any argument about a compound being sovereign state, eh?
Well, I practice myself to talk about what I know about, right? In this matter, I don't have enough information. I know that Colonel Curry has been saying, and he has been reinforcing the sovereignty of a compound. Now, my concern is that if you're a sovereign nation, a sovereign state, there are some things that you must have. You must be able to provide. Sovereignty means, in other words, if a compound is a sovereign state, then they must have their own laws. They are not part of Jamaica if you're a sovereign state, in other words, you don't take orders from Jamaican government if you're a sovereign state. And therefore, there are some issues that I want to inform myself about before I comment. I want to understand what if this treaty, the treaty that was given by the.
I'm trying to remember the author of one of a substantial piece of work done on the Maroons. I'm trying to remember. She has a C name. I can't remember her name now. And then Professor Bassiani did an excellent piece. I think it was in the Observer a couple of years ago. But one can find substantial work to help the explanation along. And there's an argument that you can't be a sovereign state overnight. You can't get all the instruments and all the resources.
It would be, for me, one of the interesting things I want to know. I want to know the treaty gives the Maroon sovereignty.
Well,
I want to know that.
I'm sorry, Professor Vereen Shepherd would be a good person to to help to answer
Yes,
that.
and there was another lady, I can't remember her name now. Yeah, but she'll be a good. But does man, work is there, possibilities are there. We lost Mr. Newman, and we're still trying to get him because there's a common issue on public transport. In fact, there's a big discussion going on right now about public transport. But Winnie, you want to take that other comment that
Shamora Lennon? Yes. Shamora Lennon says he fights all the kernel of a compound and he'll never see that position here in a compound ever again.
Okay, that is Mr. Rowe saying Mr. Rowe is not going to touch that office again. All right. So we're still trying to get Mr. Newman and we thank Mr. Rowe for us. And allow me to express. Go ahead, Esmond, or I move on.
You were trying to you tried to get the TODS chairman.
Yes.
Edgerton Newman.
He was on earlier.
He was on, but he dropped off. He had got to run to an interview.
He was on.
I don't want to get him. No, we are told that we might get for a brief minute because there are some issues with public transport. Oh. Okay. Allow me to express condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of Dennis Layla, a titan of business, who died last week. Mr. Layla was known, among other things, as the founder of ICWI Group and for his contribution to private initiative, private enterprises, but specifically to the PSOG as well. And also for his involvement in sport, polo, for example, and racing, and many horse racing, and many philanthropic causes. Rest in peace, Dennis Layla. You remember him, Desmond?
No, I know Dennis personally. I'm sad to know that he has died. Dennis was a good man who made sterling contribution towards the development of the Jamaican people. I believe, and he was such a one of the things that I remember about Dennis. You know that he owned a great house in St. Mary, and I remember attending a function there. It was something that stuck in my memory. The place was an exquisite place, right?
And I noticed Horace Helps was writing about that in his column Sunday Sips today.
Yeah.
Horace Helps.
Yes.
Yes, I noticed he was talking about it.
But Dennis, Mr. Layla played a significant role in the development of Jamaica in many, many spheres, and he will be sadly missed. Condolences to his family, friends, and associates. What good, Dennis?
Now to hurricane donation and relief, unless we had any particular personal tribute there to him.
Just echoing the sentiments, this is a great stalwart of Jamaica, and the Jamaicans will miss him for many reasons. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you, Winnie. Now to hurricane donation and relief. The Auditor General's real-time report on ODPEM's handling of donation makes for woeful reading. It's a rough thing, and I think our report, Joshua is going to try to bring in that report now.
A real-time audit report from the Auditor General's Department, tabled in Parliament on Tuesday, May 12, found that the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, had spent only a tiny portion, less than 2% of the $1.4 billion in donations received by February 23, 2026. They had spent just $26.2 million, or 1.8% by that date. The report noted that ODPEM still held approximately $569.6 million Jamaican dollars and US $5.9 million in hurricane donation accounts as of February 23. Further, it found that there were leftover funds from hurricane barrel relief efforts in 2024.
Oh, thank you, Winnie. Desmond, what's going on here, man? I mean, what's going on here?
The government is trying to make it look as if they are efficient. That is why the money has not been spent. What I know and what most Jamaicans know, that significant numbers of Jamaicans are still waiting to be assisted by the government. We know that. And we don't understand, well, I don't understand what has prevented the government from spending more of the funds that was donated by Jamaicans and by other people to assist hurricane victims.
Desmond, I have to hitch on that to say it's donated. We're not talking about government funds voted on to be allocated. It's donations. It's what people have given from overseas, from locals, people in diaspora have given to go to help Jamaicans who suffered. And to me, it seems as it's a kind of wickedness, really. You know, we're coming to you, Mr. Williams. Don't go away. It's kind of wickedness, really, that these funds that were provided have not been, donated. But viewers and listeners, Mr. Williams is here, and he was having a great difficulty, and we don't want to lose him. So, Mr. Williams, can you hear us? We're not seeing you at the moment. We see you in your background.
I'm hearing.
Thank you, and thank you for being with us. Well, we just had to stop Mr. Rowe. And one of the things that we are trying to establish is, Desmond was asking him in particular about whether your concept also is that a compound town is a sovereign state. Is that you? Can we start there with you? So, Williams, you were.
Repeat that again.
You were colonel for how long again?
13 years.
13. That's a long time.
13.
So your view of a compound is as well a compound town is that it is a sovereign state.
Yes, well, sovereign does not mean we should not comply by the laws of Jamaica anyhow.
And what does tell me what sovereign means rather than what it does not mean.
What sovereign means for you? Tell us what sovereign means for you.
Okay, it's simple. It means that yes, to some extent, we are independent. However, don't forget that Akampong is in Jamaica. And as such, we still governed by the rules of Jamaica.
So you're not a sovereign state. You're not a sovereign state. If you're a sovereign state, you'd have your own laws. You don't obey the laws of Jamaica.
We are partially, not fully. We are partially, not fully. And we are talking about, this does not come up just now. Over the years, this practice has been going on. For instance, if for any reason somebody commit an offense up there, what usually happens is that the police would inform the colonel, or if somebody go up there, commit some offense outside of a compound and go to a compound, then the police would actually inform the colonel, and then the colonel would get his personnel and take out that person and hand him over back to the relevant authorities.
But you all used to have some trials up there, though, Mr. Williams.
Yes, we do. We do. But what happened is
basis? That on the basis that you are sovereign.
Yes. Remember.
All right. I don't want to explore that so much because we don't have a lot of time. But I'd love to to understand what's the latest.
It's like for instance, if a murder is committed up there, you would have what we would call on the outside a preliminary inquiry. What would happen is that we would have a trial up there to find out whether or not it was murder, self-defense, or self-defense. If it is proven that it was self-defense, then the colonel and the relevant authority would stand by that individual. Irrespective, they would still hand him over to the government.
So Williams, you're taking us into murky waters there now. So I don't want to explore that too much now, quite honest. I'm grateful for you being here. I just love to establish what is happening now with regard to the elections, and are you accepting that Mr. Curry has been the only person nominated and therefore is likely to be proclaimed as head or chief or colonel for the next?
No, sir. No, sir. This cannot be so. This cannot be so. In fact, I am waiting to see what would happen, because if the highest court of the land make an order and you disobey, it simply means a contempt of court. I am not the person to say what to do, but we still obey the laws of the land.
So was he served with the documents?
Say that again?
Was he served? Was Colonel
with the order for injunction?
I am not in a position to say whether he was served physically, or I was told that it was served by email. And
electronically, because I noticed that the order said it would be okay for him to be served electronically.
And if you should look, you would hear that he say that yes, he understand that injunction will take note. If you understand that,
sure. But Mr. Williams,
yes.
you served for 12 years, 13 years. Why would you be thinking of going back to serve another period? What's the main thing that's driving you to seek re-election?
Okay, we have many things, because first time, Akampong used to be a peaceful place. It is not so again. We have a lot of outsiders just coming in and doing whatever they want to do. And along with most of the elders in the community, we are saying that this should not be happening.
So you're hoping to go save Akampong then?
That is so. Rescue Akampong.
Rescue Akampong. And you don't live the new constitution. I gotta say you couldn't contest the election because you don't live there.
Who write this? Who write this new constitution?
I don't know, sir.
You see, the thing is, you see, the thing is, Curry let a lot of people believe that he can just get up and do whatever he feel like doing. If he sleep and dream, say he must change this, he go and change it. If this was so, Curry would not be colonel. Curry was not living in a kampong. When he, in fact, even to date, he does not live in a kampong.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're we're hearing you, and we understand where you're going, and you're saying that you intend to go rescue, but you don't accept that. You don't accept the nomination process that went on Friday.
No, none at all. It is illegal, and I am waiting to see what the court is going to do. Because if you disobey the highest court of the land and get away with it, what else? What next? What next?
From your own court. That's the next step. From your own court.
Tell us something. So tell us about your accomplishments. Tell us some of your accomplishments during your tenure as colonel.
We're going to have to cut off this because we have Mr. Williams. We're sorry that you joined us so late, sir. And Desmond is asking you.
You can't hear them, Mr. Newman.
But we're trying to bring in Mr. Newman, who we should have been having from much earlier on. And Mr. Newman, are you there? Mr. Newman, can you hear us? All right. Beautiful. Mr. Newman, who is the president of TODS? What is the situation with transport? Because I gather some of the people in the public transport system are likely to go on strike tomorrow, Mr. Newman. What's the situation?
Yes. From where I sit, I'm trying to avert a major shutdown of the public transport sector tomorrow. And it's giving me a headache right now because I really want to join in your discussion on a compound and what is going on, the unfortunate things that are taking place down there. But let me just get straight to the point, though.
Yes, we don't have a lot of time, so we'd love to hear you on the transport. Yes.
So right now, we are supposed to meet with the minister at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to discuss the 16% balance of fare increase that was promised to us close to 3 years ago. We thought the minister would have give us a date and time of the 16% for June, set for June, but he did not. And so the operators across the island, through I have bring the lease in that they need it badly, are saying they cannot go further than 16%. I am saying to them,
okay, that's the end of today's show. Thanks to all my listeners and viewers. Thanks to my technical operator, Kevin. And we are appealing to you, users of the roads, to take it easy. Yes. My listeners and viewers, I want you to think seriously about these killings, police killings. We have to do something about it. Remember to keep safe until Wednesday. This is Rebel Radio. I'm Desmond Richards.
Everybody's sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with your super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.